Hello,
Ted, how's
hello.
it going?
Good, good. Yourself? Can you hear me?
Oh, loud and clear, dude.
Awesome. Yes, I'm live streaming right now. Do you mind if I in the interview? Do you mind if I smoke a pipe or no?
Go right ahead. I'd have a cigar if I could smoke in this house, which I rent. But that's the unfortunate part. I rent, so I can't smoke one in here.
I understand. I understand. But yeah, it's been a while since I've been on your show. I think the last time I was on your show was like 5 years ago or something.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it was a
Um,
while back.
well, the thing is, I've pretty much, I don't want to say abandoned this channel, but the other one that I do with my buddy, the sports one, we've been really focusing more on that.
I gotcha. Yeah, you have a sports channel. I think it's like the Irish Brothers or something like that.
Yeah, the Irish Brothers, Notre Dame football, and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're not a big football guy, but yeah, that's that's what we talk about, and we're trying to grow that. And
Mm-hmm.
basically, this channel has just been trying to figure out what to do with it since the rebrand, and doing a lot of these wrestling video game things for friends.
Mm.
So
You're playing wrestling games.
yeah,
What game is it?
just Raw versus SmackDown 2006. So
Wow.
we're
That's
going ancient
that's
times.
old. Is that on PlayStation
PS2.
PS2?
That I'm still playing a PS2, man. I haven't gotten any new systems.
Well, the way that games are going nowadays, I can't blame you because everything's digitized.
Yeah.
Everything is digitized, and so now a lot of times you buy the game as a in a digital form, so you don't really own a hard copy of the game,
Yeah, I know.
and it sucks.
I miss that.
Yeah,
I miss that being able to actually get a physical copy and put it in, and there's just something about that that is just nostalgic in
I love it.
itself.
I love it. Yeah, I always will buy hard copies of games. Nintendo Switch, everything is a hard copy. Mm,
Yeah, sometimes the hard copy is more. It can actually be more reliable because if
hmm
you're well, I know you've talked about your internet before. If that goes down, you're screwed.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I hate that almost every game nowadays requires internet connection. Hate that. I have a game
I
from
know.
2009. It's called Total War Medieval 2, and I still play that game. And the great thing about that game is I'll pause the game, save it, I'll get out, and I can resume from where I left off months later. I'll go back to a game months later. It's a little slow. Computer's a little slow today. I don't know why. But I'll go back to the game months later and it's still on the same pause screen. Nothing changes. Nothing.
I'll be darned. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
nothing changes
The,
because
cra-
it's an
the
old
crazy,
game.
yeah. Well, the craziest thing I had experience like that was there's this one game that I had bought back in 2002.
Hmm.
Long story short, the copy got destroyed, and PlayStation 2s, you're still using memory cards.
Hmm.
So I buy a new copy years later, but for some reason that new copy didn't register the file, or didn't recognize the file that I
Hmm.
had saved. So I had to start from scratch. So that's the weirdest thing I've experienced as far as that stuff goes.
Yeah, I remember I had a GameCube and we had memory cards and yeah, well, actually, maybe not with GameCube, but with I remember with Nintendo 64 there was a memory card that you needed sometimes, which was
Yeah,
strange.
I never had an N64, so I couldn't tell you that.
Yeah, I remember Donkey Kong. You needed a. I never forget. I don't know why I still remember this, but I remember with Donkey Kong 64, for some strange reason, you needed a memory card to play that game. I don't know why.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. I think I played Donkey Kong once and I stopped after like 20 minutes.
Hmm. It wasn't a
So
very fun
yeah,
game. I never
so
really liked
you're
it.
all
Go ahead. Sorry,
yeah.
I disrupted
It
you.
was hard for me to get into. Oh, that's all right. I just want to know, can your audience hear me now?
Yeah, they can hear you. My audio's working. I'm looking at my soundboard
Okay.
right now, and everything is registering. So,
Okay. Well, not just for that, but to all your audience, I want to say hello. My name is Sean. For a little bit about me, I've been listening to Ted here for almost 13 years now.
Mm-hmm.
As crazy as that sounds, that's how long I've been following you and your work.
Sean's one of the OG.
And and
He's
of
one of
course
the OGs.
Exactly, the OG,
Mm-hmm.
the OG dog. But no, it's because of you, man. I know I've told you this before. You encouraged me at a time when a lot of us Christians were afraid to speak out on
Mm-hmm.
things,
I
and
appreciate that.
because it was hard to. I mean, it really was hard to speak out, and you were actually comfort for me knowing that I could do that.
Mm-hmm. I
And
appreciate that.
and doing that, well, and doing that not only helped me feel good to be able to speak my faith on things and my true thoughts on things instead of having to hide it. It also really helps show me who my real friends are
Mm-hmm.
and who's actually there in your corner. And so naturally, of course, you want to surround yourself with people that are exactly like that. You want to surround yourself with people who you can rely on and so on and so forth.
Well,
and also I want to real quick, how long do I have you for before we go any further?
as long as you want. I'm on Saturday, so I can go for an hour, go 2 hours if you'd like.
Okay. Well, I have nothing. I have nothing going on, and I'm single. So what does that tell you?
There you go. There you go. we're both single here, so it doesn't. It's mutual agreement here. Uh, the Now some people are asking what's my tobacco. I'm smoking a Colonial Pastime, which is I'm guessing some kind of mixture of different blends, but it's a blend of different tobaccos probably. But I just want to say hi, Master Driver, Monochromatic Blues, Daniel Berry Sports Highlights, Baron Squatch, Felipe, Professor Raphael, and everyone else, Mr. Ketting, and everyone else. Yeah, so yeah, Sean has been listening to me since really almost since the beginning when I was YouTubing, and back in the day, what Sean is referring to. So Sean is saying that back, there was a lot of people that were kind of discouraged from speaking their mind on certain things. But what he's referring to is how back in the day, back in like 2013, it was like the whole. I don't know if people remember this because we're still talking about how wokeism has been destroyed or conquered. But back in the day, people, the whole gay agenda was massively popular.
Shoot. Ted, I'm sorry. I forgot to hit record on my end.
Oh, well, we can start right now. And I can repeat. I can repeat what I just said.
Well, it's okay. It's okay because you have it on your end. I can download that recording and put it together that way. So I just want to let you know what was going
just
on.
Start recording. I mean, you just start recording it now. Then whatever you miss, just cut it from my channel.
Yeah. So go ahead. Please continue what you were saying. 2013.
2013.
Yeah, because it was to give you.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say it was when you called the bakeries is when I first discovered you.
Right. Okay. So yeah, 2013 was a time when the gay agenda was dominating America. It was dominating America, and it was dominating America to the point where you had, I mean, evangelical Christians who were saying, "Oh, we gotta love them, we gotta love them, we gotta love Sodom," and if you spoke out against Sodom in a way that was, how should I put it, medieval, if you were going medieval against Sodom, and if you were talking in a way, if you were speaking like a medieval monk, all right, against Sodom, saying it's antichrist, it must be destroyed, it's evil, etc., etc., the evangelicals went against you. They totally went against you. And they would say things like, well, we got to love them, and then you would quote the Old Testament. And they would say, well, that's the Old Testament. We're not living in Old Testament times anymore. And then, okay, well, you would then quote Romans chapter 1, where Paul talks about Sodom, and he says, worthy of destruction. Well, you're misinterpreting St. Paul. And they would my biggest enemies at that time, from the years 2013 all the way, I would say, until 2018. 2018 is when I began to notice a big shift in American political discourse and the whole zeitgeist that we're living in. But from the years 2013, I would say, until 2018, my biggest enemies, my biggest detractors, were evangelical Christians and Roman Catholics. They were my biggest disagreeers. They were the ones who went against me the most, more than liberals, more than anyone. And they were all extremely sympathetic to Sodom. I mean, extremely sympathetic to Sodom, to the point where they were saying, "Oh, you can't say this. This is terrible." Blah blah blah. So there was a lot of pressure to embrace Sodom, and there was a lot of pressure to be sympathetic to Sodom. And I just remembered that line from Jesus, because it was a very popular argument to utilize. A very popular argument to utilize, I remember, was, well, Jesus never brought up Sodom. And that's what they would always say. Well, Jesus never brought it up. This was not a big... And you would see Christians making these arguments, so-called Christians making these arguments. Well, Jesus never talked about Sodom. He never talked about that. So what are you talking about? And I would just tell them, well, he did talk about Sodom. Because when the disciples asked Jesus, well, Jesus, tell us about the end. Tell us about the end of the world. Jesus said, remember Lot's wife.
Yes.
That's it.
I've been remembering that ever since you. I remember you saying that in the video, and that hit hard with me in a positive way.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm glad it did. And Jesus said, remember Lot's wife. And he didn't have to elaborate further, because we all know what Jesus was talking about. If you read the story, Lot and his wife are told, flee Sodom as it's being destroyed, and do not look back. Don't look back to Sodom. And then Lot's wife turns back. And why did Lot's wife turn her head back towards Sodom? It's because Lot's wife was sympathetic to Sodom. She missed it. Because Sodom at that time, believe it or not, was considered prime real estate. It was near water. And even the book of Genesis tells us that when Lot first set eyes on Sodom, he liked it because it reminded him of Egypt. And Egypt was, at that time, one of the centers, if not the center of civilization in at least the Near East, at least in the Western Asian hemisphere. And so Sodom was not this ugly place to live in. It was a metropolitan center that was probably had a very good quality of life, and it was a very wealthy area. So it was kind of like living in San Francisco. I mean, San Francisco is one of the most beautiful cities in the world. I know because I was raised in the Bay Area and I went to San Francisco many times. It was a beautiful city. I mean, now I don't know how it is now, but it was a beautiful city, had wonderful restaurants, had an excellent culinary scene. But San Francisco was and it still is, a very evil city. So that was Sodom. And Lot's wife liked Sodom, and she turned around and she became a pillar of salt. And so Jesus did talk about Sodom. He said, remember Lot's wife. That's it. So that was
exactly.
And so that was that one argument would really shut down that debate tactic that people would use, saying, well, Jesus didn't bring it up. But you see, at that time, 2013 until 2018, I would say, even 2012, 2011, 2010, those years, I mean, it was just, Sodom was taking over America. You had gay activists going to these Christian businesses, demanding that these businesses give them products that went against Christianity, such as, for example, going to a Christian photographer in California, and I think this was in Northern California, and saying, well, we want you to take photos of our gay wedding. And the guy said, I remember it was a Thai... What's that?
Or bake them a cake or
Bake them a cake,
whatever.
Yeah. And I remember it was this Thai American Christian guy. And he said, no, I'm not doing it. Not going to do it. And he refused. And he ended up getting hit with a lawsuit. And then before that, there was the most famous case of the Christian bakery in Colorado And these gay activists went to this Christian business, knowing damn well what they were doing. I mean, they weren't just there just to get a service.
Let's not kid ourselves.
Yeah,
They go out of their way to try to make a statement
right.
and mess with people's lives.
Yeah. And so they went there. They said, "Well, give us this gay cake, and we want Adam and Steve on the cake." And they said no. The business owner, said no. I'm not doing it. And he ended up getting hit with this $500,000 penalty. And of course, I mean, this is America. America. The great thing about America is that Americans are the most generous people on earth. I mean, there's no people more generous than Americans when it comes to donations and donating to specific causes. And he had a GoFundMe, and that GoFundMe helped him tremendously. But the fact is that they were using the arm of the state to exploit people and to rob people. And when I saw that, I said, we got to do something about this. So I decided in 2000 and I want to say 2015, I think it was, to call up a bunch of gay bakeries. And I honestly, I didn't know that gay bakeries existed until I started embarking on this little project of mine. And I said, I'm going to
Well,
call
actually,
up. Go ahead.
I know it was earlier than that when you did that because there was a website at the time, and this is how I discovered you. It was a website called the IFA, the Illinois Family Association, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Illinois Family something, I forget what it was, but they posted an article covering that, you doing that, and I'm pretty sure that was like 2013.
Oh,
So even earlier than that.
well, no, 2013 is when I really started going against the agenda.
Okay.
But 2015 was when I did the gay bakery project. The anti. I began to call up the bakeries, and
Yeah, and I'm sure that video is still somewhere.
well, it's up on BitChute. YouTube got rid of
So
it.
even earlier than that.
Well, no, 2013. I don't
Oh,
know.
really?
Hold on a
I didn't
second.
know.
Yeah, it's on BitChute. My connection is weird. I don't know if your connection is doing good.
Mine's doing fine.
For some reason, I have this computer of mine. I don't know. Maybe the computer is cursed or it's retarded. But I called up this. Hold on, let me just get rid of this. I think iMovie is up. Maybe iMovie is slowing things down. But anyway, I yeah, I called up this bakery. I called up multiple bakeries. I called up 13 bakeries. And I said I want a cake that says gay marriage is wrong. And they all denied me service. And I acted just as oblivious. I acted just as clueless as these sodomite activists did. Oh, I'm looking for a service. I'm looking for a cake. Just give me a cake. Just give me a cake. And of course, none of them gave me the cake. I wasn't looking for a cake, but I was looking to make a statement. I was looking to prove a point, and that point was proved. They all denied me service, which really goes to show, you see, this whole idea about freedom and toleration is a lie. And I've been thinking about this a lot lately. This whole thing with how this whole, what's the word? This facade that we were presented with decades and decades ago of the liberals versus the conservatives. That the conservatives are stringent, strict, and they are controlling, and they're dominating, and they're this, and the liberals are laid back, and they're tolerant, and they're just for equality and tolerance and freedom, and the way that liberals were, but you see liberals, and I'll get to this in a moment because I've been thinking a lot about this lately. The downfall of the left, or the downfall of whatever you want to call them, progressives, liberals. You see, at one point in time, the liberals were winning big in this country.
Oh yeah. No, they
Yeah,
were.
yeah, they were winning big in this country. And the reason why they were winning big was because liberals were presented in a way that looked cooler than conservatives. Liberals were presented like the people in the show Friends. Remember the show Friends?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
do.
just these laid back New Yorkers, they're in a cafe, they're funny, they want their coffee. Like that's how liberals were presented. And to a great extent, maybe that was true for a lot of people, but that's how they were presented. And the conservatives, I think, maybe I'm wrong, but maybe the conservatives went a little bit too hard during the Cold War, during the whole McCarthyism days. Are you a communist? Are you a communist? And they would arrest people and all this stuff. And so liberals were presented as laid back and conservatives were presented as control freaks. That's pretty much what the what's the word? What the dichotomy was. That's how the dichotomy was presented. And then the liberals just started taking over. And the Sodom was presented in this laid back, cool and collective way with certain sitcoms. There was a show I remember years ago called Will and Grace, and I
Yep.
never really watched the show, but I remember they would put the advertisements for the show on television when I was growing up in California. And Sodom was presented as funny and as energetic and as laid back, and that was all done on purpose. All of that was done on purpose to make Sodom look appealing. And I remember when I was in junior high telling people about Sodom in school. I was living in the Bay Area. I wasn't living in a red state. I wasn't living in a red zone. I was living in the
You you
bluest.
were in you were in ground zero.
I mean, I was born and raised in the bluest zone. I was in, do you mind? I was in Blues Clues. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was
Yeah.
blue, blue sky, blue, blue. It was the bluest of the blue. Democrats, everyone was a Democrat. It was rare to meet someone who was a Republican.
Wasn't it Eiffel 69 in the late 80s or the late 90s who had a song that was just
Oh,
blue?
there you go. That's that's
Any of
that's the
that?
perfect analogy that I'm looking for right there. I'm
That song
blue.
popped in my mind. I had to say it.
Yeah, I'm blue. Yeah, that's. I mean, I was in blue. I was in the blue zone, not in a good blue zone. Like there's a term, the blue zone, for people who live up to 100 years old. They say, oh, that's a blue zone, where
Right.
you have a lot of 100 years olds. No, I wish it was that, but it wasn't. It was a Democrat hot zone, and almost everyone I knew in school was pro Sodom. And if you said, "Hey, that's wrong," I mean, you were laughed at. You were
Yeah,
laughed at.
you're not cool enough. You're not
Yeah, you're
hip. You're
not
not.
cool. Yeah. And I remember, man, I remember when I was a sixth grader in middle school, and we had this teacher who was just a big flaming Democrat. I mean, she was a hard. Her name was Cindy. I'm not going to give the full name, but her name was Cindy.
Yeah, I
I
wouldn't
mean,
expect.
hardcore Democrat. We had two teachers in the classroom, both women. Yeah, I know, and they were both hardcore Democrats. Hardcore Democrats. And I remember they were. Oh, this is so funny. I remember there was a lot of people that were angry with the governor at the time. This was before Arnold Schwarzenegger became the governor of California. I remember this was Governor. What was his name? Governor. His last name was a color. Governor Gray or something. Who was it? I got to look this up real quick. Governor of California before Arnold. Who was the governor of Cal before Arnold? Gray Davis. I got it mixed up. His
Okay,
first name
good.
was a color. Yeah, Gray Davis was the governor at the time. And this is before Arnold won. And Gray Davis I remember, you see, because I went to church in California, and the people that I went to church with were Republicans. Because, it's church. Of course, everyone's Republican, unless you go to some bullshit fake Christian church like the Episcopalians or something.
Yeah, or
Yeah,
Unitarian or something.
Unitarian. Yeah, exactly. Anglican. Everyone's as a freaking Democrat. But
Right.
where I went to church, everyone was a Republican. And I remember hearing the adults complaining about Governor Gray Davis, and they were saying Gray Davis is stealing our tax dollars and giving the money away to the homeless, which was probably true. This is California. Yeah, spending
I,
money
li-
on.
I, live in, I live in Illinois. I'm surrounded by corruption out of Chicago, so
Oh,
I get it.
that's worse.
Yeah,
I think Illinois is worse than California. Maybe worse. I don't know.
yeah. I'm bragging about that. I live in a more corrupted state than you did.
Oh yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I remember going to school, and I remember saying, Governor Gray Davis. I was like 11 years old, 11 or 12 years old, and I said, Governor Gray Davis is stealing our money and giving it to homeless people. I was like a little Ben Shapiro. Governor Gray Davis is stealing our tax dollars and giving it to the homeless. And remember Cindy, the teacher, she goes, "Excuse me?" So yeah, he's stealing our tax dollars and giving it to the homeless. And she could have said, "Hey, that's not true," but she confirmed it. She goes, "And what's wrong with that?" I said, "Well, I don't want money going to some bunch of lazy bums and drug addicts on the street."
Good for you.
It was hilarious. It was like hilarious. I mean, I was Ben Shapiro before Ben Shapiro even existed. I was there. I was. I mean, even
Who's
before I
talking
had.
about the OG now?
What's that?
Who's the OG now?
Yeah, who's the OG? Yeah, I mean, I before I had a blog. I don't think blogs even existed at this point. Maybe they did, but if they did, they were in a very early stage.
Probably
But
in the baby stages.
baby
Yeah,
stage
like
of blogging. Yeah, I mean, I didn't have a blog. There was no YouTube. It was just mouth to mouth. And I said, well, I don't want my money going to a bunch of drug addicts and a bunch of bums on the street. And they make the streets look filthy and they make the city look dirty and disgusting. And Cindy goes, "Oh, so you don't want to help the poor?" I'm like, "Oh, they're homeless people. They're not poor. They're just a bunch of bums, blah, blah, blah." And oh, how dare you, and this and that. And then you fast forward to 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. What were people complaining about all the time? When I was about I was about let me think. I was about 14 years old at this time at this point. And I remember getting into an argument with another student. And we were arguing not about homelessness, but we were arguing about the LGBT stuff, the Sodom stuff. And at this point, the Sodom stuff was growing more and more because I remember gay marriage was really being pushed on everyone at this point. This was back in 2000 and I want to say 2000. Let me think. Hold on, 2005. I want to say this was. So there was a lot of talk about gay marriage and I remember at my school, at my high school that I was going to in the Bay Area, we had a day of silence.
I remember
Oh
this.
yeah, you had that bullshit.
No, we didn't. Not where I'm from. We didn't have it, but I just remember reading articles about it, and yeah, so I know what it is. Because I graduated high school in 2004,
Mm-hmm.
so I think, and I'm not trying to tear away from your
No,
story
no, go
here,
ahead.
but I think when I look back on things, I didn't really see too much of this stuff. And maybe it's based on where I'm from because I grew up in a small country town,
Mm-hmm.
in which it's you definitely saw there's definitely been a lot of left wing stuff coming in now in recent years. People are showing it, but
Mm-hmm.
at that time, 2004, I think we were probably just maybe starting to really see this quote unquote movement
Mm-hmm.
of Sodom and women's rights. Well, the women's rights it's always been there for quite a while.
Right.
But, all sorts of liberal causes is what I'm getting at.
Mm-hmm.
That's when we start to see that stuff start to be pushed a little bit. But really, for the most part, I going to school is pretty normal. Nothing really out of the ordinary or extreme. If it was very rare.
Mm-hmm.
But now it seems like it's every day. But no, I remember reading about the day of silence.
Okay, so you heard about it. Yeah, so we had this day of silence thing at my school, and I wondered to myself, okay, what's this day of silence stuff? And then it was explained to me, oh, this is a day of silence for Sodom. That we're all going to be quiet, or people can choose to be quiet and not say a word all day in protest for the rights of Sodom, as if the rights of Sodom were being impeded in any way. They weren't. Sodom was being pushed on everyone, and everyone and their mother was getting pushed with this Sodom stuff. So there was no impeding of Sodom at all. In fact, there wasn't there was no impeding. There was no hindering of Sodom, which was the problem. But they were doing this day of silence thing. So I remember walking through the campus and everyone who was silent, everyone who was doing this silent protest thing. Just I mean, it was a there was a benefit to it in the sense that I knew exactly who I didn't like. Like, you're quiet. Oh, I don't like you. Oh, you're quiet. Okay, you're one of those guys. And it just really exposed everyone. And I remember getting into an argument with another student, and I never forget. We were in PE. We were in physical education, and we had to walk a mile or something, and so we had to. Well, they said you could jog the mile, but they said it's just a suggestion. You could walk the mile, so we would just walk the mile. And I remember this guy and I were walking, and we were arguing about Sodom. And he said, well, we need Sodom marriage because it's freedom. And I said to him, okay, where does this stop? You know what I mean? Like, where does it stop? Is it just going to stop with two men and two women? Or are we going to get to the point where is this thing just going to escalate to where a guy will be able to marry a boy? And that's what I told him. I mean, again, I was an OG. I was arguing this stuff before it became mainstream. But I said, are we going to get to the point where a guy is going to have the right to marry a boy? And he said, he literally told me this. He said, well, if that's their right, I mean, yeah, that's freedom. So I heard that. I thought to myself, okay, I mean, this is what liberalism is. There's no limits. There is no boundaries. There's nothing. It's not going to stop. They're just going to keep going as long as they can keep going, as long as we allow it. It's not going to stop.
You want to hear about proof of that?
Yeah.
On TLC, at one point, I don't know if these shows are still on, but at one point on the TLC show, they had not one, but two shows showing a polygamous family. You know, those two sister wives type show.
The Mormons.
Yeah. Like that. I think one dude's name was Corey Brown. And then I forget the other dude's name, but it was a black dude. I know that. Like, I think the one with the black dude was called Seeking Sister Wife or something.
It was a black guy who wanted to get into a Mormon polygamous marriage.
Yeah, it was a black guy with several black women.
Oh, one of those. Was he like Mormon?
I never saw the show. I just saw previews for it.
Probably one of those Nation of Islam types.
Probably it could be, but yeah, I don't know if you see many. I don't know. I would guess that there aren't many black people who are Mormons. But then again,
no, there's not a lot of them.
I mean, you know, you can be whatever denomination you want, but yeah, when I first saw it, I'm like, I don't think this dude's Mormon.
Nah.
Now I know that Brown dude is, that Corey Brown or whatever his name is, but regardless, that's the point. TLC had two shows promoting polygamy. And I'm thinking the same thing that you did. And by the way, people, to those listening live right now, and to the ones who see this afterwards in pre-recorded form, this isn't all just about sodomy. We have plenty more coming.
Sure, yeah. This is just a conversation. We're just letting this thing flow to where it goes.
Yes, but when the same thing that you went through, I was telling people this is going to be a slippery slope. They're going to open Pandora's box for other things. Well, now they're at the point of promoting polygamy.
Right.
There's movies and shows that are promoting polyamory, which is, just like polygamy, but only the whole group is married to one another. So how long before we start seeing legislative arguments for that stuff to be legal?
I mean, the thing is that the liberals had all this popularity for decades, and they dominated media. They dominated everything, arts, all that stuff, music. They dominated it. And that just went on for years and years and years and years and years. And they got gay marriage constitutionalized in 2000 and what was it, 15? Yeah,
Yeah.
2015. You had that. What was the name of that? Oh, Offerman versus
Oberfell,
whatever.
Oberfell or whatever,
Yeah,
I
and
think.
Obama signed on to it because he was pressured by the synagogue. The synagogue. I'm not joking, by the way. You can look at Tikkun magazine, which is a massive liberal Jewish magazine, and they put out an article saying why the Jews were the ones who got Obama to sign on to gay marriage. I'm not joking. You can look into this. They actually wrote this article, and they show exactly how there were these Sodom Jewish, synagogue of Satan Jewish Sodom lobbies and activists who were pressuring the president to sign on to it, and he acquiesced to their demands. And so it really goes to show that St. John was right in the book of Revelation. He said, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, which is Sodom and Egypt. Sodom! He calls Jerusalem Sodom. So Obama signed on to it under pressure from the synagogue. And I remember there were a lot of people who said, "Oh, this is great. This is amazing." And that's when, and before this, when the Sodom issue became popular. So 2013, 14, 15, 16, when the Sodom issue became popular, the agents of Sodom went into full gear. And
Yeah.
all of that, being low toned and nice and tolerant, all that shit went out the window. All that stuff went out the window. And they said, well, if you're not gonna bake the cake, we're gonna use the state to rob you and exploit you. We're gonna use the state to impoverish you and steal your money, $500,000. Well, you were this Christian bakery. You didn't want to make us a cake that said Adam and Steve on it, so we're gonna we're gonna use the arm of the state to slap a $500,000 fine on you, and that is gonna be justified because we're gonna say, well, it's for psychological damages and all this bullshit. So they really showed their hand, which is what
Yeah.
all of these evil groups do. I don't care what. I don't care if it's Mormons. I don't care if it's Sodom. I don't care if it's Islam. I don't care if it's the Jews. Yeah, we can talk about that. I don't care who the fuck it is. Once they can I you mind if I cuss a little bit? Is that a big
I'm Irish, dude.
okay? There
Go
you go.
right ahead.
Yeah,
It's
like,
called, it's called the Open Tab Podcast, which
right.
I got to say, you're part of history. This is the first official episode of the Open Tab Podcast. Why is it the Open Tab? Pretend we're in a bar setting. Tabs open. We're never cut off here, buddy. Nothing's cut off on this channel.
Awesome, awesome. I love it. So yeah, so for some reason, some people are complaining about low frame rate. I don't know why, but my internet. Hold on a second, guys.
I've noticed it gets a little grainy.
I don't know why. I can try to fix it real quick. Dropped frame. Let me just try to hold on. I'm not gonna stop the stream, but let me see if I can
Yeah,
fix this
go ahead.
real quick.
Do
Cause
what you
I don't know, like these freaking Apple computers suck. They used to be really good, and now they just suck.
I've never had an Apple product, to be honest with you, so I
Oh,
couldn't tell
I
you.
don't. I envy you. What kind of computer do you have?
Well, my brother got me this one. Let me check the brand name. Oh, there it is. View Edge.
Let me look this.
Yeah, View Edge.
Let me hold on. I think I could probably fix. I'll keep our interview up. I got all these windows open. Maybe that's the reason why. But I never used to have this issue at all with Apple computers. Never used to have these issues at all. I had a model that was made in 2015 that lasted me for 7 years. I could have prolonged it, but I had it for 7 years, and I never really had a serious issue with it until it reached its 7th year. And it went on. It never once gave me these issues. It never gave me this weird frame rate. Never gave me this slow and annoying frame rate. Right now I'm 30 frames per second. Let me see. Is it looking better, guy? I think it's looking better. I'm not seeing any issues here. So I got rid of all the windows. I think that helped a lot.
I mean, there's still a little. I'm seeing a little graininess on your screen. Nothing
Okay.
horrible, but there's some moments where you do freeze a tad bit,
Okay.
if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
I understand.
But even the times when you do freeze a little bit, you're um, I'm still hearing your audio, and
Right, right.
it's pretty good. I'm not the best with terminology,
No,
so
no, I totally understand. I'm force quitting some applications here. Quit. Let me see. Finder. Have you have a PS2? Okay, yeah. I was thinking you could play
mhm.
this Lord of the Rings game that I played years ago. It's really good. It's called Shadows of War. It's an amazing game. I absolutely love it. Let me see here. Dictionary. Yeah, I don't have much going on right now. So I'm gonna get rid of my activity monitor. That should work. I think it's better now. How's it looking? Let me see. All right, I'm moving around. I don't see anything.
I see some graininess around you,
No, the audio is
like
working.
on your
Someone's
screen.
saying no audio. No, no, no. The audio, guys, you just oh my god. I don't know why I keep having this issue with my audio. My audio
The
is fine.
audio is working. I hear you loud and
All
clear.
right, I think it's work. I think we're good. The frame rate's working. Let me see here. Dropped frame 22%. I think we're good. I think we're fine. I think we're going to continue on. So,
I mean, I can adjust my thing here, see if it helps. I don't know if it's
no,
something on
I
my
don't think
end.
it's you. I don't think it's you. I think it's a me problem here. It's
It happens. It
Yeah, I
happens.
think we're
The
good.
bottom line. The bottom line is everybody sees you. We're hearing you loud and clear.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not the perfect picture in the world from my end, but
Yeah.
everybody can tell it's you.
But you can see me. We're good.
Yes, I can
But
see you. I
is
can.
the image good?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
all right.
All
It's
right. All
it's
right.
all right. It's not perfect, but I can hear you just fine. See you just fine.
Okay. Audio's working. Audio's fine. Video a little choppy at times. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
video is
working.
just a
It's
little.
looking good for me. I can check
Yeah,
real
it
quick.
just
Hold
gets a
on.
little.
Well, you see, this is the problem when you have a computer that is made with whatever with somewhat shitty quality, and I got an Apple computer, which I mean, Apple's not really as good as it used to be. But I'm looking at my stream right now, and it's looking okay. Anyway, we're just gonna continue on. If it's a little choppy,
Yeah, go
whatever. I don't know what else to do, but anyway, so basically, yeah, like everybody thought it was great that we had all this Sodom marriage stuff and all this. And agents of Sodom, the acolytes of Sodom, became very confident because they saw that America was embracing them. They saw how even the American Republican Party was embracing Sodom. I don't know if you remember this, but when Romney was running for president, there was this thing called the Log Cabin Republicans, and it was just
Oh yes.
yeah, yeah, it was just the gay Republicans. And I remember Steve Crowder was promoting them, and Glenn Beck was promoting them and pushing them. And the Sodom saw that it was winning, and so the acolytes of Sodom thought, we're just gonna go full blast. We're gonna go into third gear on what we want to do. And I remember in 2017ish, late 2017, going into 2018, the trans movement started rising up,
Yeah.
and they were pushing the trans stuff. And people in Hollywood and these big companies, Target, etc., they thought, wow, this is the time that we can really just push wokeism, because they thought Sodom is really popular. I mean, we got conservatives who are embracing this log cabin Republican stuff, and let's just do it. I think they just went full blast with it. So they were pushing all this trans stuff and gay characters and making things. They wanted to make everything gay. Movies, video games, music, everything had to be gay. And they really played their hand. They overplayed their hand. And they pushed it to the point where it backfired on them. And thus began the anti woke phenomenon that we saw really, really exploding. I would say from the years of 2020 all the way up to 2023. 2020, 2023, 2024, we really started seeing this anti woke stuff become
Yeah.
popular. And the anti woke movement was crushing the wokest. And I remember in 2019, going to the mall in June. I remember June is supposed to be this Pride Month nonsense.
Right.
And I remember going to the mall and they had all the flags and the LGBT flags and all that stuff. And I remember thinking, okay, this is, I mean, they're just really just showing off. They're basically saying we can do what we want. You know, all the stores are going to put our flags up. And then remember the Bud Light controversy with Kid
Oh yeah,
Rock?
with that freak with that Dylan Mulvaney freak.
Yeah, yeah. They put
Yeah.
this freak on the Bud Light can or whatever, and
Yeah.
Kid Rock basically killed wokeism to a certain extent. He kind of finished it off, and it was already being defeated at this point. But Kid Rock finished it off, and he did this video where he got a bunch of beer cans, Bud Light beer cans, and he just shot them all. And he said something like "fuck Anheuser Busch" or whatever,
Yeah.
Anheuser Busch, and that video went viral. I mean, people just went nuts for it. And I remember going to Target a year later in June, and I wanted to see specifically. I went to Target to specifically see. Well, I went there to get some stuff, but I wanted to see, are they going to do this Pride stuff like they did in the prior years? And I didn't. I only saw, the whole time I was there, I only saw one tiny little Pride flag that was hidden somewhere on a mannequin. You could
Yep.
barely even notice it. And I remember going to the mall in June. I think it was last year or the year before last year. I went to the mall in June. All that Pride stuff was gone. I didn't see it. And if it was there,
It's
it
funny
was
how that
something that
works.
was so minuscule that I didn't notice it. So,
I do want to let you know real quick. There are times where you are freezing a little bit.
oh God, I don't know why this is happening. The thing is that I cleaned out my system. I have plenty of storage on my computer. I have 994 gigabytes in this computer. That's plenty. I don't know
Yeah.
why this is happening. You know what I need to do? I think I need to
What's
lower
that?
my frame rate, but I can't do it in the middle of a live stream. It won't let me. But hold on, it's telling me that my kbps is doing pretty well. So I mean, how are we looking now? Oh, it went down. Speak of the devil.
I mean, as long as the audio is coming through, that's all
Yeah,
I
the
care about.
audio's
But
the,
I
the
still
audio's going
felt you
in
should
just
know.
fine. Yeah, okay, I appreciate that. But yeah, the audio's going in just fine. The audio's fine. But it's
Yeah,
just gonna. You
but
know what, guys? This is an audio interview. All right, just think of it that way.
okay, that's fair. But I remember that too.
Mm-hmm.
All the Pride stuff was gone. But I gotta tell you something. It's interesting that you mentioned Kid Rock
Mm-hmm.
because what's funny is he goes on that crusade.
Mm-hmm.
He goes on that crusade shooting the beer cans and all that. But then I don't know how long it was after that. You see him at a concert or somewhere drinking a Bud Light.
Well, yeah, and he said later like Anheuser's cool now, so we're done. They fixed it and that's it. It's over. That's what he said. I remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I just remember seeing that. I'm like, what are you doing, Kid Rock? Oh, it's funny.
Whatever. But my point is
But
that it backfired, and I remember all these Americans were complaining about wokeism. Oh, like the left, they've destroyed everything. You know, they got the homeless bums everywhere, and they got all these drug addicts everywhere, and the wokeism stuff is crazy. They're going after our children. It's like, yeah, that's what we were fucking warning you guys about for decades, and no one listened. Nobody. Like
Yeah.
nobody listened. No one listened. And nobody cared.
No.
Yeah.
In particular, all those liberal hipster type women who had their little gay friends in their clique that they treated like accessories. We tried to tell you,
Yeah.
and you wouldn't listen.
Yeah, it's just like yeah.
Okay, let me tell you some of my experiences, Ted, if you don't mind. I'm not trying to interrupt.
No. This is a conversation.
Oh.
You don't have to say anything. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just one who likes to, not be rude and polite. But I've had my own experiences with this stuff. Two things. The first one, I really got to see who these people truly are, whether it's wokeist, BLM, Sodom, take your pick.
Right.
They talk about tolerance and how tolerant they are. Well, as we've been discussing, they really ain't so tolerant.
Nope.
Because I remember one of my friends from back in the day. He was a new teacher in town, just started a new job. And he had a friend from college who was gay. Invited him over to his house. We were playing video games, all that. Okay, I didn't care. I was still at a point where I never was pro Sodom, but there was a point in my life where I just did not care one way or the other, where I should have. But it was when I saw this that care started to really come back. It really started to come into me and realize, okay, this is not all about peace and love. It's not. But I remember this guy asked me if I could take him to the gas station, get some something to drink and some cigarettes. I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem, hop in. And we were talking, and I tried to explain. He was just explaining to me his perspective and whatnot, and I explained mine, or at least tried to. I said, yeah, dude, I want you to know I am a Christian man. I don't support what you do, but I have no problem with you as a person. I try telling him that, which I thought I believed at the time. He wouldn't hear any of it. He would not listen to one damn word I was saying. He never cursed me out or anything, but he would just cut me off, stop me. And that was kind of like that night where I had an epiphany. This guy doesn't want to hear a word that I have to say.
Nope.
He doesn't want to hear my perspective. He doesn't want to hear my beliefs. And it's been the same way over the years too, with people who are all about BLM and the trans stuff, which trans and Sodom, it's the same damn thing.
No difference.
And yeah, and the women who love abortion, stuff like that. They don't care about your opinion. Right. So that night when this guy showed his true colors. This guy showed his true colors, what he was really about, when he's not going to let me explain my position at all. And even respectfully, I realized this guy has one agenda. He's showing it right now.
Right.
The second story is this. One of my good buddies, and this says a lot about not only the Sodom agenda, but eugenics. So a good buddy of mine used to be married to this girl who was very into makeup, and she was trying to break into the makeup business. Self-explanatory. Who runs the makeup business?
Yep.
Sodom.
Right. Sodom.
I mean, come on. It's just, and she even admitted that herself. She even said once, she's like, listen, Sean, you're accurate on that, because I've had people tell me, if you're not a gay guy, then you have no chance of making it in the makeup business. But I digress. But this one night, and this buddy of mine is a liberal guy. It's now his ex-wife. She is too, very much. And we were having a discussion about this, pleading my case, them, outnumbered. And so I say, and this my buddy's ex-wife, I could tell, like exactly liberal hip woman who has gay friends in her group of friends just to show off like accessories, like a new shade of lipstick or a new. Yes. And so I asked her, I'm like, I'll just call her Anna. Not going to use real names. I'm like, Anna, tell me something. You're all about these guys and hanging out with them and associating with them. Is it because of who they are as people, or just because of what this act that they practice? What attracts you to these people, to hang out with these people? And this is what she told me, no joke. She said to me, oh, Sean, I hope for more gay sex because we're already overpopulated enough as it is. So the more gay sex, the better.
Right.
I
Okay.
shit you not,
I
Terry.
believe you. No, I totally believe you. I've heard all sorts of crazy things.
And I was like, really? You want more guys to bang each other's rears just so we can be less populated? I'm like, you know how sick that
It's
is, right?
anti-human.
She didn't care. Yeah. No, she never had kids with my buddy, but she really came off to me as a type of girl who would purposely get herself knocked up and have an abortion just so she could brag about it.
Bitch is evil.
That's how she came off to me. Oh, she was very evil. I mean, there's a reason they divorced.
Oh yeah, yeah. That doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, the thing is that it's just the liberals were allowed to have all this power and they were allowed to do what they wanted, and they just went full throttle. And they always used to say, well, we're not going to go after children. That's not going to, oh no, we would never do that. And then, I don't know if you remember this, but back in, I want to say 2019, 2020 or whatever, there was this video that went viral from San Francisco showing all of these Sodom choir singers were going after your children. We will come after your children. Just blatantly saying, we're going after your children. And that video went viral.
Well, what I'm about to say was long before any of that.
I believe.
Remember that? Yeah, but yeah, the what do they call it? It was the opening to this. This is back in the '80s. There was that book written by these two college students, or a manuscript, whatever, and the narration was in reference to Sodom. Mm-hmm. We will enter your locker rooms. We will enter the military. We will do this.
Yeah.
But yes, I remember that choir very much, and it's true. It's true. Not after the choir. Look at what we've seen happen. We're seeing drag kids.
You cut off there for a second. Hello?
He's like 11 years old.
Mm-hmm. Your connection is a little bit going. It went down a little bit there.
Oh, mine did.
Yeah, your connection. You cut off for a few seconds. What were you saying? You said that. What did you say right before saying he's 11 years old?
No, I just was saying. Am I good now?
Yeah, you're good now.
Okay, maybe there's a little bit of what you call it, I don't know, a lag or something. Anyway, this kid, this is like an 11, 12-year-old kid. He was on Good Morning America, dressed up like a girl, walking down this little walkway or whatever, sexually, and everybody's applauding him. Yeah. I mean, this is like, Michael Strahan, and I forget who else is on Good Morning America now, but they're applauding this kid. I'm like, what's wrong with you people? This is so wrong. No kid should be doing this. And not to mention, you have all the drag queens reading stories to kids in libraries. And
what does Paul say? And see, this is the reason why the Christians allowed for this thing to go to the extent that it has. Is they hate, and this is what I learned about evangelicals and Roman Catholics. Didn't take me very long to figure this out, but eventually I learned this about them, just from dealing with them, dealing with evangelicals, dealing with Roman Catholics, is they hate the Bible. They do. They hate the Bible. They hate when Paul says in Romans chapter 1, he talks about Sodom and he says worthy of destruction. And when someone says, hey, look at what Paul says here, they don't want to talk about it. And I've never once heard an evangelical pastor quote that line from Romans. And when it comes to Roman Catholic priests, I never once heard an American Roman Catholic priest quote that verse. I did hear one Italian Catholic priest quote that verse. And do you know what happened? He ended up being removed from his position, and they moved him out somewhere else. Because I remember the mainstream media in Italy was attacking him, saying that he was homophobic for quoting Paul. He was just quoting Paul. He didn't say anything else. He just quoted St. Paul from Romans 1. And for quoting Paul, his own superiors removed him from his position wherever he was in Italy. They removed him from the diocese that he was working in, and they moved him somewhere else for that very reason.
That's messed up.
I mean, but it reveals everything, and so here's the thing: is it was at that time 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, those years, and you can even go a little bit before that. You can go back to you can go back to 2009, 2010. For those years, it was extremely unpopular to speak out against Sodom. I know this from experience. It was very unpopular. It didn't matter if you were in the liberal circles. It didn't matter if you were in the secular circles or in the Republican circles, Democrat circles, Christian circles, Catholic circles. It didn't matter. Maybe the Orthodoxy was different because at that time, Orthodoxy was still sort of confound to the Slavic world. Greece is a little bit different, but it was just not popular. I know this from experience. It was very unpopular. And like I said, the ones who went against me the most were the evangelicals and the Roman Catholics. And now it's popular to speak out against Sodom. I don't know if you noticed this, but now it's popular. 2024, 2025, and then before that, 2023, 2022, it became popular to speak out against Sodom. And all the evangelicals started talking against wokeism and the trans movement. Well, why weren't they speaking out this enthusiastically in 2013 or 2014 or 15 or 16 or 17? Why weren't they speaking with that much energy in those years? But now they are, because right now it's trendy. It's trendy to speak out against Sodom. That's the reason why.
Well, yeah, just like it was trendy to speak in favor of it.
Yeah, it was trendy to speak in favor of it.
It's always been a trend, especially, like I said, I'm not trying to sound sexist here, but it was a big trend, especially with women.
Oh, yeah.
Women loved their Sodom friends.
Oh, yeah. Everyone had a Sodom. Every woman had a Sodom friend. Every woman had a Sodom cousin, and you had to respect that and all that bullshit. I remember there was a girl that I was dating back in 2014, and I was at her brother's house, and we were playing video games, and her brother was engaged to this Chinese girl. And we were playing video games, and we were playing a fighting game where it would be 2 versus 2. So you had 4 controllers, 2 versus 2. And I remember I was tag teaming with the girl's brother, and so the girl's brother was engaged to this Chinese girl. She had a brother, and he was playing the game, and he was on the other team. So I'm playing the game, and I'm joking around. I'm saying, okay, guys, we gotta beat them. This other team that we're fighting, this is Sodom and Gomorrah. All right, this is Sodom and Gomorrah. And if we don't win, Sodom's going to win. We got to beat them. We can't lose this thing. We can't lose this thing. And this Chinese guy says, I've had enough, drops the controller, gets up, walks off. And I said, what's that guy's problem? And the girl that I was seeing at the time, her mom was there. And her mom said, he's gay. I said, really? No one told me. Even if they did, I wouldn't care. But he's gay. Yeah. So everyone had a gay brother, gay this. It was everyone did. Now I don't hear a peep from these people anymore. I don't hear a peep from them. Nothing. What happened to them? They're gone. Because I'll just say this one thing. Because the left pushed it to the point where it became no longer popular. Because once you start, and the Christians, believe it or not, I know the conservatives are winning right now, but the conservatives can fall for the same trap. Once you become popular and you get overly confident and you start telling people what to do, you lose.
Yeah.
You lose.
Because they're like, I'm not going to listen to you.
Yeah, so that's what happened to the conservatives back in the day. They got into this McCarthyism thing, and everyone was a communist, and everyone was suspected of being a communist, and eventually liberals rose up. Liberals became popular. Liberals became trendy and cool and hip. And now what's trendy and cool and hip is being Christian and conservative. And that's a good thing. I'm glad this is happening. But conservatives better watch it, better learn this lesson and really, keep it cool. Don't go too
Yeah,
crazy.
it's an opportunity to learn from past mistakes.
Yeah.
But of course, even conservatives, there's been some fraudulent ones that I've encountered in my life, and like this is kind of connected to what we're talking about. But I remember I was at my older brother's house one time. We were having a discussion about, I think this was around the time of Trump's first election, and somehow Sodom got brought up and all this stuff.
Always did.
And it always does that. Abortion. What's another big one that always?
It's
yeah, taxes, whatever.
Yeah.
There's always the basic stuff, and I was speaking out against it, like, hey, man, this stuff is so wrong. It's because already they showed who they were with the kid going, indoctrinating kids with it, putting it on kid shows, all that stuff. And I'm like, who do these people think they are? They're getting everything they wanted at that time. Like, they're getting everything they want. They're being pushed everywhere. They have the nerve to still call themselves victims when they're the ones pretty much running the show, thanks to their backers. No, screw these people. I'm not speaking favorably of them. And my brother says to me, well, Sean, don't you know we have a cousin who's gay? And I asked who it was. And I said, and I'm not going to give his name, but I'm like, who is it? He goes, well, so-and-so is. I'm like, so? Why should I stop my Christian morality just because someone in our family went an opposite direction?
Yeah.
No. I mean, I've got, and then just because of the Sodom issue, this is because, conservative versus liberal, BLM versus non-BLM, ICE versus non-ICE. You take your pick. You take your pick. I've lost friends. I've lost family relationships. And you know what? It sucks, but you are not going to compromise my Christian morality and my thoughts on these things for anything. Not going to happen.
Well, and there another group of people that really played their hand were the Zionists.
They are behind a lot of things, and I'm glad you brought that up, because originally I was going to start the I didn't know you were going to go live, but this is going to be my first question. I even had a little intro planned out and everything.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
So thank you. That's all right. I'm just messing with you. Okay. But it was going to go like, welcome everyone to the Open Tab podcast. The tab is open. You're never cut off, like I said earlier. And so, but I'm glad you brought up Zionism and the Israeli lobby and all that, because originally when we were going to do this sit down, this talk, we had to push it back because I know you had a lot going on. I had a lot going on as well. I don't know if you can see the scar, but surgery. So that I would have to push back anyway. But it wasn't too long after Charlie Kirk's assassination is when we originally planned to do this. And I guess before we get into Zionism, I wanted to ask you, with Charlie Kirk being assassinated, it's really one of those moments like, with John F. Kennedy or the Challenger explosion, which was, 12 days after I was born. It's one of those moments where people are going to ask you, where were you when that happened? So I'm just curious about this first. When that first happened, what were your initial thoughts on that? I know you've done a lot of videos talking about it, but just when it first happened.
Well, you see, my position on Charlie Kirk before he was killed was that he was there to keep the status quo for the conservative movement. That was my position on him, was that he was there just to fight the left, to fight the liberals, fight wokeism, and to support the American right. That was my understanding of him. And it's not, I wasn't wrong. I mean, that was just, I was never a fan. I'll be very frank. I was never a fan of Charlie Kirk. Never. I was never a fan of the guy. Didn't hate him, but I just was never really a fan of his. I just always, for years, I understood that he's there to be the right wing activist against the Democrat Party, against the left. That's it. And I also knew that he was expressing arguments, articulating arguments to support Israel. So that was another reason why I wasn't really a fan of his. Then the news came that he was killed. And that was a shocker. I mean, I wasn't expecting that. Oh, Charlie Kirk got shot. He's dead. Oh, shit. So I spent a number of hours just researching about him and going on to X and finding stuff. And then I saw this quote by this guy named Harrison Smith, who works at InfoWars. And Harrison Smith had a tweet that he had written a number of months before the murder of Charlie Kirk. And Harrison Smith said, "Someone that I know who is close to Charlie told me that Charlie Kirk is terrified of the Israelis. And he is afraid that they're going to kill him." So I saw that and I said, well, that's interesting. That's really interesting. So then I started digging deeper into Charlie Kirk's videos not too long before he was killed. And I saw all these videos of Charlie, and I didn't know these videos existed because really I wasn't focusing on Charlie Kirk. I just knew that he was a Republican activist.
I just discovered him within the last year and a half, really. I mean, I knew he'd always been there, but it's when I started actually watching his videos. That's when,
well,
you know.
Yeah, the thing is that I knew about Charlie. I knew about Charlie Kirk going back, I want to say, to 2016, 2017. That's when I first heard about him. And I just knew, okay, he's just a whatever. He's a Zio conservative activist. He's there to give it to the libs and argue with Democrats. Okay, whatever. That's his thing. And I remember, on the day of his murder, I remember researching him and finding all these videos that he did very recently to the time of his murder. And he was really criticizing Israel. And I didn't know that he was doing that. I wasn't paying attention to Charlie Kirk. So I thought, wow, this is interesting. And he's saying, now again, he's criticizing Israel, but in a very careful way. He's not saying, F Israel, they're evil, they're Antichrist, synagogue of Satan. But he's talking about Jeffrey Epstein being an agent of the Mossad. And I saw that and I said, okay, a lot of people may not know this. But one thing that I know about the Zionist donor class is that when they give you money, they're giving you, I know this from firsthand experience, when they give you money, they're giving you money to control you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what all donors do. I mean, not just Zionists, but this is what they do. They give you, they're going to drop 70 grand on you. They're going to drop 100,000, maybe even hundreds of thousands, maybe even $1 million, maybe more. But they're going to drop money on you to tell you what to do. And they're not always going to say, they're not always just going to give you the money and say, okay, here's the plan. You got to say this or else we're not going to give you this money. They say, hey, we really like your work. We really like what you have to say. Here's this money. Oh, thank you. And they just let you go do your own thing. They let you be they let you just go. They let you work, whatever. And as long as you are towing the line, as long as you're saying what they like, they're not going to bother you. And they're going to call you up once in a while and they're going to say, "Hey, great job. We really like what you said this time. It was great. Keep going. Here's another 70 grand." Oh, wow. The moment you start deviating, even by a hair, even by just an inch, the moment you start deviating from their narrative, from their position, that's when the threats come. The threats of withdrawing funds comes into play. And they'll say, hey, we don't like what you said here. And I know this from firsthand experience. I've said the story many times, but we used to get Zionist money.
PJ Media.
What's that?
PJ Media.
Yeah, yep, you know, PJ Media. Yeah, so we were getting money from the very people that founded PJ Media. And it was a billionaire Jewish couple, billionaire Zionist couple. in Southern California that founded PJ Media. And they were dropping 70 grand on us every year. It's not a lot of money. I mean, it's decent, but it's not this immense amount of money. But for us, it was a lot. They were dropping 70 grand on us to keep our website going. And they were doing it for years. And the moment I started talking about the gay agenda, we got a phone call. Hey, if you want to continue to get our money, you have to stop talking against Sodom. And we said, well, we're not going to do that. Okay, well, the money's going to stop. And the money did stop. That was it. There was no more money coming. And we weren't even criticizing Israel. We were just criticizing Sodom. And what we didn't understand at that time was that Sodom and Israel are intricately linked. They are absolutely connected together because St. John calls Jerusalem Sodom. And the moment you start criticizing Sodom, the Zionists don't like that, because once you start criticizing Sodom, then you're going to start noticing, Israel is a pretty pro-Sodom country. Tel Aviv is one of the most Sodomite countries, one of the most Sodomite cities on earth. Why am I supporting a country that openly embraces Sodom? And then you're going to start criticizing Israel. So they don't like that. So the moment I started deviating away from their narrative is when the threats began to come and the pressure began to come. So Charlie saying, hey, Epstein was connected to Mossad, that may not sound like the biggest deal ever. It may not sound like the biggest deal. But for Zionist donors, that is a big deal. Because, you could still be pro-Israel and be aware of Jeffrey Epstein and his connection to Israel. And you could still be pro-Israel and be aware of the corruption in Israel. But keep in mind that those are seeds. And when you sow those seeds into people, that's going to get them to start questioning things. Well, if Jeffrey Epstein was connected to Mossad, what was the Mossad doing? I mean, the Mossad is Israel's intelligence agency. That's their CIA. That's a huge part of their government. And so what was Jeffrey Epstein doing? And then you start researching things. And then you read, well, this one FBI memo said that Jeffrey Epstein was Mossad and he was basically compromising American politicians, and he was pimping out underage girls and doing all of this horrendously illegal activity and very evil activity. And why would Israel, and you find out that he was very well connected to Ehud Barak, who is a former prime minister of Israel, and they were very close. And then you find out, well, Jeffrey Epstein's girlfriend, Ghislaine, is the daughter of Robert Maxwell, who was this big major Mossad agent. And when Robert Maxwell died, there was this huge funeral in Israel, and all these high-ranking Israeli officials went to go to his funeral. So then you start thinking, okay, Jeffrey Epstein was with Mossad. He was compromising our politicians. Is Israel, and this is the inevitable question that arises from this pondering, is Israel controlling our politicians? Then you start looking at the Israel lobby.
And that's what I was going to ask you about, like not just with Charlie Kirk and what happened with him, but it seems like the Israeli lobby, it's like a never-ending game of connect the dots. There's just one dot after another, and somehow with all these things going on, the Israeli lobby is somehow involved. Now, myself, I'm not going to lie to you, I don't quite understand all of it because I'm not an expert when it comes to politics and that kind of thing. But it's just crazy how that lobby, the Zionist Israeli lobby, is somehow always connected. At least that's how it seems.
It seems that way. It seems like anytime you find something evil, Israel is behind it in some way or another. I mean, it's the truth. Israel is behind. You look at the Iraq War. It's one of the most evilest things ever to be done in the 21st century. Israel was behind it. You look at Syria. What happened to Syria? I mean, hundreds of thousands of people dead in the Syrian civil war. You find out Israel had a hand in that. You look at Libya. I mean, what happened to Libya was one of the evilest things that I've ever witnessed. Gaddafi was sodomized and murdered. His country was taken over by fanatics. And all of a sudden, we started seeing videos of black people in cages being auctioned out like animals. And the fucking Democrat, and this all happened under Obama, and the fucking Democrats were sitting there covering up for it, acting as if the Libyan revolution was this great thing. And you had that piece of shit. What's his name? Who's that guy that everybody fucking worships? He had a show on cooking. He had a show where he went to different countries. Anthony Bourdain.
Oh, Bourdain,
Yeah,
yeah.
that agent of Israel, that agent of Jerusalem and Sodom, Anthony Bourdain. He really, I've never seen someone get so worshipped like that guy. I've never seen it. I mean, I don't think Jordan Peterson got that level of a cult of personality as Anthony Bourdain did, and still does. I mean, people
I don't know.
worship this guy.
You don't think Milo's right up there?
Well, Milo's done. I mean, we can talk about him later on, but that guy's done.
Sure.
Nobody
Well,
cares.
I'm just talking
Nobody
like the
cares.
level.
No, but Milo had a cult. No. Don't get me wrong. He had a big following, but I've never seen the level of human worship. I've never seen the level of a cult of personality like Anthony Bourdain has.
Oh, you are right. Yeah.
I've never seen it. I've never seen, like, Jordan Peterson died out, Milo died out, a lot of people died out. That guy is just, you can't say anything about him. You say one thing about Anthony Bourdain and it's like you've committed blasphemy. But the guy was a piece of shit. He was. And we can talk more about Anthony if you like, but the guy was a piece of shit. I never understood why people love him. I understand why people love him because he had this sort of New York nonchalant attitude. But the guy was fucking evil. And what's his name? Bourdain goes to Libya and he's praising the whole Libyan revolution. Oh, this is great. Of course, CNN is the one that produces it. And it just really went to show that Anthony Bourdain was just a part of the establishment. He was just an agent of the powers that be. And CNN produces this show where Anthony goes to Libya and says, "Oh, it's great. Libya is so great now." Literally, black people in cages being sold like property in Libya, thanks to the Libyan revolution. Because, and I don't want to make this about Gaddafi. We'll go back to Charlie and all that. But just as a side note, Gaddafi was protecting the sub-Saharan African population in Libya. There was a sub-Saharan African minority in Libya, and he was protecting them. And once he was killed, it was open season on the blacks. And all of a sudden, you saw videos of black people in cages being sold in auctions, being sold like property. And the liberals, which were talking about slavery, and they still, to this day, never stopped talking about slavery, didn't say shit about it, and not a single hair on a Democrat man's beard moved as a response to literally seeing 19th, 18th century style slavery in the 21st century. And that happened as a result of NATO. NATO bombed Libya. They took it over. They murdered Gaddafi. And the massacres took place, and the slavery took place. And we were told by Anthony Bourdain and the powers that be that this was a great thing. And then you find out, well, Israel wanted Gaddafi removed. And the Israel lobby wanted Gaddafi removed. So I'm thinking, okay, so there's that. So then you look at the whole Epstein thing. And like I said, the moment you start looking into Epstein and his Mossad connections, and let's say you don't know anything about Israel, let's say you were raised to love Israel, but you start looking into this Epstein thing, you start realizing, well, this guy was tied to the Mossad, his girlfriend was tied to the Mossad, his girlfriend's dad was Mossad, and you start wondering, okay, are our politicians being controlled by Israel? Do we really have sovereignty here? Then, I mean, naturally, that's going to lead you to start looking into AIPAC. And you're going to start looking into the Israel lobby. You're going to start reading John Mearsheimer. I mean, John Mearsheimer wrote an amazing book called The Israel Lobby. I recommend that everyone should read that book. I love that book. I read that book back in 2018, and I did a number of videos on it. I actually re-uploaded several of my videos, video commentaries on Mearsheimer's Israel lobby. I have not published them yet. I need to make them public, but they're ready to go if anyone is interested. But John Mearsheimer wrote this book called The Israel Lobby. And once you start wondering, okay, is Israel controlling our politicians? Then you're going to start looking into the lobby. Then you're going to start looking into AIPAC. You're going to start looking into the ADL. You're going to start looking into what type of influence Israel has. And from there, I mean, you're just one step away from becoming anti-Israel, or you're already there at that point. And that's the danger that Charlie Kirk was posing to the pro-Israel donor class, to that pro-Israel establishment. That was the danger he was posing, because he was talking about Mossad and Jeffrey Epstein, and he was talking about how Israel wants to do ethnic cleansing in Gaza, and he was talking about how Israel was on the verge of a civil war in 2023, right before the October the 7th attack. And he was really doing things that were to the ire of his donors. And information was coming out after his murder about the conflict that he had with his donors. And there was a story that came out about how before he was murdered, we're talking, I don't know, not too long before his murder. It wasn't years, it was really within the same year that he was murdered. Charlie Kirk went to this banquet and Bob Shulman was there. Bob Shulman is one of the biggest pro Israel donors in America. He's a billionaire. He was the guy who funded Tommy Robinson. He was the guy who funded Laura Loomer. And the story is that Bob Shulman told Charlie Kirk to his face, I was going to give you $1 million, but now I'm not, because of what you're saying. Because of the fact that you're working too much with Tucker Carlson. So you're not going to get the $1 million. And you could say, well, this is all hearsay, it's all nonsense, all lies, I don't believe anything. Then all of a sudden this text message leaked out wherein Charlie Kirk is complaining about his pro-Israel donors. And he is saying, oh, well, the pro-Israel donors don't want me to invite Candace Owens to the TPUSA event. And he said, pro-Israel donors fulfill all of the stereotypes, and they leave me no choice but to abandon the pro-Israel cause. This is pretty much what he said.
Yeah.
And initially, you had all these Zios on X saying, I don't believe anything. This is all lies. And then Charlie Kirk's producer, Andrew Colvett, came out and said, no, the text message is real. I was in that conversation. So it was real. So there really was tension between Kirk and his donors. There really was tension going on behind the curtains between Kirk and his Zionist superiors, his Zionist bosses, so to speak. There really was this tension that was going on. And 4 days, I want to say about 4 or 5 days after that text message, Charlie Kirk is murdered. I mean, do we have definitive proof that Israel killed this man? No, we don't. But it is very strange that after he was murdered, Netanyahu comes out and says, oh, we love Charlie. I mean, right before he was officially declared dead, Netanyahu says, oh, we, rest in peace, Charlie. And Trump does the same thing at the same time as Netanyahu. Ben-Gvir comes out and says, oh, we love Charlie. Israel all of a sudden makes a Charlie Kirk Plaza. And then you read about how Charlie Kirk was afraid of someone. According to Harrison Smith, he was terrified of the Israelis. According to someone who was very close to Charlie, who spoke to Max Blumenthal, who's a journalist, Charlie Kirk was terrified of these Zios killing him. He was terrified of them. And this is from someone else. Max Blumenthal wrote an article about this. And he said that he spoke to someone, and he didn't want to give this person's name because he said that this source wanted to be anonymous. But he said that he spoke to someone who was close to Charlie, and this person said, yeah, he was terrified of the Israelis. He was terrified of them. He was worried that they were out to get him. Then there's a text message from Charlie saying, I think this was a text message to Andrew Colvett, in which Charlie is saying, they're out to kill me. He doesn't say who these people are, but he says, like, they're out to kill me.
And I'll just say this. like myself, I don't believe that everything is a conspiracy.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, and this is what everybody needs to do, in my opinion, you have to be a little bit open minded to that. That
Mm-hmm.
things aren't all, what I mean by that is to the point that not everything is as it appears.
Mm-hmm.
Because now listen, could this Robinson kid have been the one who actually pulled the trigger?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend who thinks that he did pull the trigger, but he was paid by somebody to do it from,
Yeah.
ironically, the Zionist lobby.
Mm-hmm.
Very possible. And the thing is, why do people wonder why there's so many conspiracy theorists after this? Well, when you look at the behavior of everybody involved, like who was it? Was it Andrew Colbert who took the camera down right after Charlie was shot?
I'm not sure.
They,
Was it? I
yeah.
would have to look into it.
Well, somebody did. Somebody took down the camera right behind where Charlie was sitting, and then some guy walks off talking on his phone, and
Yeah,
then
I
it's
saw
just
that. That was weird.
a lot of shit that just does not add up.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. And then, you know, and I'll get back to some personal thoughts of Charlie in a little bit, but I know you've talked about this, and myself, I had mixed emotions on it. But look at how his wife is behaving. And let me tell you something. Let me tell you something, Ted. When I first saw this with Erica Kirk, again, I try to be open minded on both sides of things, whether it could be a conspiracy, whether it could be something else. My first thought was, okay, this woman is trying to keep her shit together because she has two kids to raise, and these two kids are never going to see their father again until, well, not for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But then the more you see of her, the more you kind of see like, this is almost like an act.
Oh yeah.
Because listen, I can tell you, obviously, I've never been married, never lost a spouse. I don't know what that's like to go through,
Mm-hmm.
but I've lost people in my life that I cared about deeply, some tragic.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you something, life moves on, but I'm certainly not putting myself out there in front of everybody to see every, personal detail of my life, especially after something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that just did not, the more I looked at it, that did not seem normal.
It's not normal. And I don't care what anyone tells me. That's not normal behavior. It's not. I mean, I can tell you personal stories of losing loved ones and how I reacted or how other people that I know very closely reacted, and that's not how people grieve.
No, I'm not going to be on like, okay, I guess when like 3 days later after he was murdered, I guess a part of me can understand addressing his followers on the Turning Point USA, the channel. I guess I can understand that one
Mm-hmm.
because everybody wants to know what the hell's going on. Everybody's in shock. So I get that. But then after that, that's when you really need to step out of the spotlight.
Right.
But no, like we've all seen, she was on TV promoting his book and this and that, and I'm thinking, what is going on?
You had the first, in my opinion, I could be wrong, but well, I don't think I'm wrong, but in my opinion, the first red flag was the weird video that came out right after Kirk was killed, showing. I mean, it wasn't the same day, but it was like maybe the next day or a couple of days after Charlie Kirk was murdered. Erica Kirk is in front of Kirk's corpse,
Yes,
and
I
she's
saw that.
touching the corpse and kissing it. It's just weird. Like, this should be a private. The first thought that came to my mind was, and I said this during the stream, I said, this should be private. This doesn't have to be shown to the whole world. This should be private. This doesn't need to be a photo opportunity. This doesn't need to be
Oh,
an Instagram opportunity. Like, this should be private.
yeah.
And
The
then,
only good thing I'll say is at least she didn't show his damn face.
mhm. yeah, and
But yeah,
then Yeah, and then there was the infamous video of Erica Kirk at this in this radio station with Andrew Colvett, and some other guy, and she was acting giddy, so giddy. This is not a woman who looks like she's grieving. This is not the face of a woman who has watched her husband getting damn near decapitated. This is not the face of that. I don't. I mean, that's just not mourning. That's it. This is not mourning. This is not normal behavior. Then you see that she's at the Fox News event, and there's like 200. Not, I mean, Fox News was there. They filmed it, but she was at this memorial event, and this wasn't really a memorial event. This was a political arena. This was a political rally.
Yeah, you're talking about his memorial.
Yeah, but it wasn't
Yeah,
really a memorial.
yeah, where the Arizona Cardinals play. Yeah, I
Yeah, it
forget
was
the
in
name.
Arizona. Yeah, you had Tucker Carlson was there, and all these people making speeches, and they had fireworks, or not fireworks, but the big flames that shoot from the stage. I don't know what they. You see them in the world wrestling events, that sort of
Yeah,
thing.
like pyrotechnics. Yeah,
Pyrotechnics, is that what they call it? Okay.
yeah, I'm
So
pretty sure. Yeah,
yeah, so you had the pyrotechnics, and it wasn't. It didn't feel like a memorial or a funeral. It felt like a political rally, and then you had this you had Erica Kirk talking about merchandise and how much we sold, and we sold this. We had 200 something plus thousand people and this. And there's a video you can see that got leaked out recently that was recorded about 5 days after Charlie's death. And it's a video of a video chat conversation between Erica and TPUSA employees. And I mean, her face talking about, I mean, she looks very giddy, she's laughing, she's giggling, and then she's looking at the little emojis on the screen. Oh, look at the little thumbs. Oh, it's so cute. It just doesn't, this is not normal behavior. And she's talking about merchandise and how much merch was sold, and we sold this many hats and all, and 200 plus thousand people were at the memorial, and this and that. Oh my God, like, this is not real. This is fake. And then you look more into Erica Kirk's past, and you see that she was this narrator for this CIA front documentary. I believe it or not, I saw a lot of this documentary many years ago when it came out. It was a documentary about how Iran could destroy America, and I saw this documentary many years ago, and I didn't realize that was Erica Kirk. But there's a part of the documentary you can see where Erica Kirk is talking in front of the camera for this CIA propaganda video. That was Erica Kirk. And
well, wasn't her father involved in something that?
Yeah, he was involved in the military industrial tech world of some sort.
Yeah, I was thinking had to do something with the Israeli lobby, but I think I might be wrong on that.
Yeah, and it's just strange.
Yeah, because let me tell you something. I can tell you from personal experience. Like, I'm not going to get into who it was in my family, but I lost somebody very close to me in my family on my birthday of all times when I was 12 years old. And less than a week later, after we had his funeral and we buried him, we're talking about money that were owed through like a life insurance policy type thing. Mm-hmm. Well, the point that I'm trying to make is, you think I'm giving a shit about money?
Yeah. Yeah.
I want him back.
Yeah.
I don't care about any damn money that I'm entitled to. I want my loved one back. I want him back in my life. I want him to be there to celebrate good times with. I want him to be there to give a high five to when Notre Dame scores a touchdown during a game. Mm-hmm. I want to go have a drink with him. Mm-hmm. I don't give two shits about any money. Mm-hmm. So that's the difference. But the point that I'm getting at is she's getting right into the profits here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just the whole thing. I don't care what anyone tells me. Oh, people grieve differently. Bullshit. The whole thing is fake. The whole thing is a show. It's fake. It's stage. It's theater. It's artificial. The whole thing is fake. And the fact that the FBI comes along and says, well, Charlie was shot from the front. But you see the hole ripping through his neck. It looks like an exit wound. I'm not really buying this FBI narrative. And Erica Kirk comes along and says, well, Robinson is the killer. She knows 100% that Robinson is the shooter. He's the killer. And she tells everyone to believe the FBI. Isn't that strange? I mean, we haven't finished the trial. We haven't looked at everything. We haven't looked at all the information. Isn't it strange that the one who is pushing for everyone to follow the FBI narrative the most is Erica Kirk? Just doesn't.
I don't get it. And then the thing is, I can say with certainty, I think I can speak for you on this as well. Neither one of us here are about bad mouthing a widow and her children.
Yeah.
We're not about that. Mm-hmm. But it's like myself, I didn't want to believe any of it at first, but you can't help but ignore what's been said and the behavior. It's just not normal.
The whole thing is off. The whole thing is off.
It's very over.
The whole thing is off. And Charlie was, like I said, he was beginning to see the light about the evils of Zionism, and he was on his way. He was beginning to deviate from the pro-Israel narrative. I think that's pretty obvious. And Israel, and this was my point when I did the video on Charlie Kirk, Israel is at a point where it is seeing the American people wanting nothing to do with Israel. Whereas in the past, for decades, Israel had been enjoying bipartisan support from Republicans and Democrats. Majority of Democrats, majority of Republicans were supporting Israel. Now they've lost to Democrats. I mean, the amount of Democrats, the percentage of Democrats who are supporting Israel is literally in the single digits. Not in the double digits, in the single digits.
Yeah, I saw you posted a Pew Research report.
Yeah, and then you look at the Republican Party. Yeah, the majority of Republicans still support Israel, but only if you include the boomers or the 50-plus-year-olds. Once you start getting into that realm of 50 of being under 50, so we're talking 49 to 18 years old, that's when things become very bleak for Israel. You're not looking at an overwhelming majority of people supporting Israel amongst that age bracket within the Republican Party. You're looking at the majority of people not liking Israel. And even if you look at, for example, as like a recent study was done in the United States, it showed that 45% of young white Republicans just not only do they not like Israel, but they don't like. They think that the Israel lobby has way too much power. So Israel is seeing all this, and they're thinking, okay, we lost the Democrats. We have the Republicans. The Republicans are our only hope. But Charlie Kirk had one job, and that job was to make sure that Republicans, young Republicans, more importantly, stay pro-Israel. That was his job. It was to tell young Republicans, hey, support Israel. We have to support Israel. And the fact that even he was deviating away from the pro-Israel narrative was a presaging sign that showed that the Republican Party is soon going to go down the same road that the Democrat Party is going through.
History repeats itself.
Yeah. And so I think Israel is very desperate. And they know once they lose the Republicans, it's over. It's over. Who's going to support Israel? There's no Democrats. Right now in the Democrat world, it's unpopular for Democratic candidates to say that they're getting AIPAC money or that they're pro-Israel. It's unpopular. It's politically disadvantageous for a Democratic candidate to do this. And the Republican Party is still the last bulwark for Israel. It's still the last defense for Israel. But once the Israelis lose the Republican Party, what's next? Israel is then going to have to depend on AIPAC money for propaganda and the ADL. And right now, those two organizations are extremely unpopular. So what is Israel going to do? Israel is desperate. Bottom line, Israel is desperate. And Israel is going to go down. But because they have so much money and so much firepower, they're not going to go down without a fight. I mean, I've been saying for years that Israel's going to go down. But that doesn't mean that I think Israel's going to go down easily. Israel's not going to go down easily. They're going to go down with a fight. And they're going to do some crazy shit. So they saw Charlie losing his grip, and Charlie was deviating from the pro-Israel Zionist narrative, and they thought, oh, we're losing Charlie. And Charlie sends out this text message saying, I'm going to abandon the pro-Israel cause. Explicitly saying it. I'm not even exaggerating it. That's what he said. 4 days later, he's dead. Coincidence? Maybe. Maybe. I don't know. But it's very strange.
Yeah, I mean, you can't, most people would say, oh, you're just wearing your tinfoil hat, you're calling conspiracy theory, but can you really say for sure? Could the narrative be true, and that it was just some lunatic who was dating a trans?
It is entirely possible that the FBI narrative is true, and we're just whatever.
But the bottom line is, when you have so many dots connecting and the stars aligning at this particular time, it becomes more of a coincidence.
Yeah, it's just the whole thing is strange, and just. I don't know. The whole thing is strange. But, regardless of it, let's say we're wrong. Let's say that, again, well, I shouldn't say that I'm wrong, because I'm not saying that this is emphatically true. I'm just pontificating here. I am just talking. I'm spitballing, as the saying goes. I'm not making any emphatic claims. But
we don't want to piss off YouTube now.
Yeah. So, but what I will say is, let's say that the narrative is absolutely true and Robinson is the guy and that's all there is to it. The fact is that the facts still remain that Charlie was going against Israel. The fact still remains that after Charlie was killed, a lot of people started saying that Israel was behind it. And so it still shows that Israel's going down. No matter how you look at it, Israel is going down. Even if Robinson is the guy, Israel's still going down. The fact that they lost Charlie, if they lost Charlie, they're going to lose everyone. Yeah, I was raised to be pro-Israel. I was raised to be hardcore pro-Israel. Even Israel lost me. So they're losing their friends. It's still, when you look at it, the murder of Charlie Kirk was a real turning point. No pun, well, I guess you could say pun intended, turning point, you would say, but it was a real turning point in the sense that it further marked the beginning of the Republican youth turning against Israel.
Yeah.
Because, Charlie was starting to go against Israel. Charlie was having problems with his donors. The donors were trying to control him. It looks like there's this ginormous pro-Israel donor class that tries to control people with money, but they couldn't control Charlie. Oh, but those damn Zionist donors sure are evil. And it looks like Israel is trying to use their money to control our politicians. And, man, this whole Israeli entity is pretty diabolical, pretty sinister. We really don't like it. So the murder of Charlie, I think, got more and more people to look into Israel and the Israel lobby. So in a way, the murder of Charlie Kirk was a massive turning point.
Yeah. And let's say that that's exactly what happened. And if that is how it happened, then man, the Israeli lobby didn't think that through too well, did they?
Yeah.
That this is what's going to happen. They're going to Because yeah, like you were alluding to, and I'm just adding on to it, this has the potential to build up somebody stronger than Charlie Kirk.
Oh yeah.
You do something like this, it's going to put a lot of, and I don't want to give one specific emotion, but it's gonna put a lot of emotion in somebody to really push themselves and become that next guy.
Well, or woman. Charlie was the last guy. If you think about it, Charlie was the last guy. He was the last Republican activist who was a superstar, and that's it. He's gone. Really, it is quite surreal to think about this. That this guy could push the needle. He could actually move. This guy, Charlie Kirk, could actually push the needle. Well, he was a superstar.
Yeah.
And he was the last mainstream conservative superstar. You had, I mean, it's crazy when you think about it, but it's true. You had Milo, Dennis Prager, Sean Hannity, Bill O'Reilly. You had a bunch of these guys. I guess you could say Jordan Peterson was a part of this very club, right? You had a bunch of these guys, these conservative superstars, massive cult followings, but they all died out. Milo died out because he was promoting pederasty. Let's be real. That's why he died out. He was promoting
Yeah.
pederasty. It turned out that he was just a sick bastard. I knew that all along, but people didn't want to listen. Whatever. I told everyone, the guy is Skittles. Don't trust him. Whoa, he's great. He's Skittles. That's it. That's it. Big red flag. He's Skittles. That's it. Don't listen to him. Anyway, yeah.
We'll go through the line, but I have something to add to that.
Sure,
I
yeah,
told
so,
you already.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Dennis Prager was a massive superstar. He had one of the richest, I mean, financially richest conservative organizations on earth. I think his organization, Prager University, was worth at least $100 million. Could have been more. Maybe I would say probably more than that. But it was worth an ungodly amount of money, and it was very influential. And the videos that Prager University was producing would go viral, and that died out. And Dennis Prager died out. I mean, they say, well, he got paralyzed. Before Dennis Prager was even paralyzed, he was dying. He died out. And why did Prager die out? Well, because Dennis Prager was also pushing for pederasty, and Dennis Prager refused to call animated child pornography evil. But even before that, years before that, back in 2017, Dennis Prager was pushing pederasty like Milo Yiannopoulos. And I was telling people about it, and nobody wanted to listen to me. Nobody, I mean, some people did, but almost nobody wanted to listen to me. I was warning people about Prager back in 2017. I said, this guy is promoting some pederastic stuff. And everyone said, oh, you're taking him out of context. Prager's great. And nobody listened to me. And then one day, a number of years ago, Prager goes on this Catholic podcast called Pints with Aquinas. And Prager is saying, I don't think animated child pornography is evil. Totally exposing who he was. Further exposing the evil person that he is. And a lot of people got so disgusted by him, rightfully so, that Prager University began to lose a lot of donations. They started losing a lot of money, rightfully so. And Prager is no more. I mean, not too long after that, all of a sudden Prager gets paralyzed. He falls down. He gets paralyzed. And you don't hear about him anymore. So you don't hear about Prager anymore. He's gone. He's done. Jordan
What I'd like to know, I'm sorry. Since we're talking about Peterson, Prager, I'd like to know something. When he goes on Dave Rubin's show and says, the Bible says that men, you can be happy with little boys just as you can with little girls.
Yep.
15-year-olds, not 8-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
And people say that he was taken out of context. What context is that good in?
That's what.
And plus tell me, where in what Bible is he reading?
The Talmud.
Nowhere in the Bible does it say that.
The Talmud.
It's disgusting.
Well,
like, and the fact, because I remember watching that clip, and the fact that he says it so relaxed and candidly.
Yeah.
The fuck is wrong with you?
He's a Talmudist rabbi. That's what's wrong with him. He's satanic. But I exposed him back in 2017. I watched the whole Dave Rubin interview back in 2017. I saw that. I clipped it. I did a video about it. Nobody cared, whatever. And then all of a sudden, and I said, this guy's evil. This guy is pushing pederasty. And I said he's pushing pedophilia. I mean, I said it in 2017. And 2023 pops up, and there's Prager, and he's like, well, animated child porn actually isn't evil. It actually is beneficial. That's what he said. It can help people. It can help people.
No, it can't.
So
somebody has to think it up, and somebody has to have the desire to watch it. Because I mean, it just because there's no physical person there doesn't mean that it's not evil.
Correct. Yes. So he's gone. Prager's gone. Jordan Peterson was the god of the conservative world, and he was worshipped. It was a massive cult of personality. People thought he was just this prophet of some sort or whatever. I never really
Oh, you could
understood.
call him wrong for anything. You could say, "Oh, he likes chocolate ice cream instead of vanilla," and people have been all over your
Oh yeah,
case.
I warned people about him. I warned people about Prager. About Peterson back in 2018 or 19. I wrote an article about him saying, "Hey, this guy's no damn good. He's evil," and nobody listened to me, of course, and that was to be expected. And then Prager, I keep saying Prager. Peterson, uh, he he started going down for whatever reason. I mean, he had a lot of psychological issues. And then it turned out that, well, he's this pro Israel Zio. And then he one day invites Netanyahu onto his show. And people were asking, like, okay, Peterson, you've been talking to us for years about, the dangers of the left, and the left will bring about totalitarianism and mass murder and Stalin. I mean, that's what you're going to end up with, eh? Oh, you know how the Canadians talk. Oh, we're gonna end up with Stalin, guys. It's go read the Gulag Archipelago. Solzhenitsyn warned us about this, and we see Israel committing mass murder. Mass murder. I mean, just straight up mass murder, sniping kids, probably fucking stealing organs out of Palestinian people's bodies, raping men, Palestinian men, just blowing kids' heads off, shooting grandmas. I mean, just doing basic level Nazi shit. And where the fuck is Peterson to come out and say, this is fucking Stalin, guy? I didn't see it. I didn't see it. And what does he do? He brings on the leader of the Israeli regime to his show to freaking stroke his ego. It's like, I'm thinking, Prager, I keep saying Prager. Peterson, this is your time to start making the parallels that you were warning us about. This is your time, your opportunity to start making the parallels between, the totalitarianism that you warned us about and Israel and what Israel is doing in Gaza. But no, you're just this guy who got famous because, I don't know, you presented yourself as this quirky professor who just wants to get down to the facts. I just want the truth, damn it. I'm this eccentric, quirky, awkward professor who just is warning the people because he cares so much. And he was warning the people about wokeism and the totalitarianism of wokeism. Okay, fine. Yeah, wokeism is totalitarian. I'm not going to disagree with that. But we were watching in real time, we're watching this live streamed genocide. And you're not warning people, you're not telling people, you're not crying out about this, you're not protesting, you're not doing shit about it. No. You're actually supporting it. And then he brings Netanyahu on to support Netanyahu, to support a mass murderer.
Basically, just sounds like Israel wasn't what he thought it was, and he's trying to make excuses.
Well, no, I think what it is that he's backed by some Zio funders or whatever, and I think what it is that Jordan Peterson is a murderous individual. That's my belief. That was my belief about him when I wrote an article about Mr. Peterson I want to say 2018 or 2019 is when I published that article. But I said, why do I keep saying Prager? What the hell is wrong with
Because there's a lot of P names here.
Yeah. That's what I said about Peterson. I said, he is a guy who is Hitlerian. I said, this is a guy who believes in social Darwinism. And what Israel has done to Gaza and what Israel continues to do to Gaza is very Darwinian. It is mass murder. And there is Mr. Peterson supporting it. Really fulfilling exactly what I warned people about. I told people, I said, this Peterson guy, he is a murderous individual. He's Hitlerian. He's evil. I said this for years, and nobody believes me. Then all of a sudden, he brings a mass murderer onto his podcast to support the mass murderer. So I wasn't surprised about that one bit. But people saw that, and they said, okay, so this Peterson guy is just a part of the establishment. He's a mouthpiece for the establishment. Okay, so you don't hear about Peterson anymore. He's gone. Peterson is done. Okay, so what next? What mega conservative superstar did you have? Well, you had Charlie Kirk. That's what you had. You had Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was the last conservative superstar. That's it. That's it. And
Well,
he was deviating from the narrative.
yes. Yes,
Even
he was.
he was getting disgusted with Israel, and he's dead.
And the funny thing is with Charlie Kirk, there were even some things that he said that really had me asking questions. Like I remember a couple of videos, and I'm not trying to get off topic here, but I remember there was this one video where one guy's questioning. I don't know if he's actually questioning his Christianity, but he's like, "Why do you like what?" He asked him his thoughts on homosexuality, and Charlie goes off on him saying, "What do you care what two people do on their own time?" Blah 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 blah. You, sir, are not a conservative. And there was more said than that, but that was the gist of it. So I'm thinking, like, Charlie, you know what the scriptures say about that stuff. Why are you getting mad at this guy? And there was another one too where, well, it wasn't a video, but it was either an article or maybe it was a video. I can't remember. But he was talking about, ironically, reading the Talmud, spending a year reading the Talmud or whatever it was at Prager's recommendation. So that even bothers me a little bit with Charlie Kirk, and I'm not. Believe me, I'm not kicking the man after he's been murdered.
I totally agree.
But it just goes to show you, and there's a point that I'm making with all this, is even he, aside from the Israel lobby, he was kind of in bed with some people that he should have been. Being inspired by Dennis Prager. Like, if you heard what that guy said, nobody should be inspired by him.
He was part of that world. Most
yes.
definitely.
And then saying what he did about homosexuality and what it says in the Bible, and that guy questioned him about it. Why are you taking such offense to that, Charlie? Okay, you have some gay people on your staff at Turning Point. Fine, whatever. But yeah, there's a lot of reasons for, just because we don't see what they do doesn't mean that we have to just ignore it. Because as we've said earlier in this sit down, in this interview, in this talk, whatever you want to call it, I call it just a good bar conversation.
Yeah.
I just need a couple beers, but they've made their agenda clear. Not going all the way back to that, but it's just funny how this all intertwines with one another. All this stuff. Yeah. Anybody should have a problem with it because it's against the natural order. It's not right. And when they're, and I gotta say this too, when they're comparing it to being black. That's disturbing. That's disgusting. And if I was a black person, well, anybody of any color could say this. Being white, I could say this, but since they like to compare themselves to the civil rights movement with black people, that's why I'm bringing up blacks in particular. But if I was black, and to have my skin color compared to a guy putting his penis in another dude's butthole, pardon my graphic, I'd be super offended by that. Because my skin color, I have no choice over. What I do with my organs, my sexual organs, that's on you. That's on me. So don't give me this, I'm the same as them, I was born the way. Don't just stop.
Yeah, it's bullshit. Yeah, it's very disturbing. I agree.
Yeah, I kind of got off track there with that, but it's just, this all intertwines with one another. It's like, come on, Charlie, you know better than this. That's what I was getting at with bringing it up. Yeah, don't support people who are evil, and don't buy into these narratives that are evil.
Yeah. Well,
and it makes me question.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
It makes you question what? Sorry.
I was going to say, it makes me question with, any of these people. Because you brought up Candace Owens earlier briefly, and I was going to mention her because, she's been doing a lot of the questioning on Erica Kirk and all the stuff that happened with Charlie's murder. And I do applaud her for that, asking the questions that a lot of people are afraid to ask for the fear of heat and backlash and death, I guess, now. But even at the same time, and I wrote you this in a private message,
Mm-hmm.
dude. Did you see that she brought Milo on her show?
Yeah, I saw that.
Why is she bringing this guy on her show? I mean, she didn't. First off, she didn't need to do that.
Nope.
She was
Doesn't.
already.
Milo's a nobody. Nobody cares about Milo.
Well, I got to tell you, Ted, I made a short talking about that. After she did that, she had him on back-to-back episodes, or they filmed one big show and made it into two. I don't know, but I made a short talking about that, and even played the clips of Milo saying the horrific things that he did from Voris at Church Militant, when he himself was on Dave Rubin and was speaking about the eugenics with homosexuals, saying they have hierarchies and all that stuff.
Right.
And the backlash that I got from that short alone, people love this guy. Even when you put
he's changed now.
Yeah, exactly. First off, I don't believe him.
No.
I don't believe him. I think what's happened is he's been gone out of the spotlight for quite a while. He maybe the checkbook's drying up a little bit, or the bank account, is drying up a little bit. What better way than to get back in the spotlight with coming on a show like Candace Owens?
Absolutely.
And why Candace Owens or anybody would want to associate with this guy, knowing the stuff that he said. Yeah. And I don't care. And listen, we talked about this in a past sit down when we were on one of the first two times. I don't care if he was drunk or not. Nobody, you don't just say that.
Don't mean shit.
No, because I've noticed, Ted, that when people are drunk, they tend to tell the truth a little more.
They're more open. 100%.
Yeah, because I can tell you, I've been drunk before in my life, but I'll tell you one thing: I was not talking about wanting to be with underage kids, and in his case, boys. No, I'm talking about who's going to go first overall in the NFL draft, or what's going to happen with the Cubs and the Cubs game in this upcoming series, or whatever. Because I'm a big sports guy. Nobody just randomly says that about pederasty.
Nope.
But the point that I'm getting at is, why do people want to associate with this guy when they know what he said?
Strange. I actually looked up Milo just now, and I see that he was on, I didn't know this. Well, I forgot that this happened. He was on Tucker's show 2 months ago, and it got 1.2 million views.
Okay, I didn't know he was on Tucker.
Yeah, he's on Tucker. And then how many views did the Candace Owens interview get? Let's see real quick.
If I had to guess, probably a million.
1.2 million for one video, and then in a separate episode that they did together, it got 1.3 million. So it looks like this guy's trying to make a comeback, and he is making something of a comeback. Now, the fact that Candace Owens and Tucker would bring this guy on is a red flag.
That's what I'm saying.
Straight up red flag, yeah.
And so my point is, well, I guess I've had several points that I'm making, but it makes you wonder, are there any of these people in the world of, at least in the conservative world of conservative talk media, that you can truly trust?
No. I'll say it right now. No, there is absolutely no one that you can trust who is in the mainstream world. Tucker right now is mainstream. Candace is now, they're sort of like alternative media. You can't use that anymore. They're all mainstream now. They are the mainstream. And so you can't, I believe, now I could be somewhat wrong about this, but I think that when someone becomes very famous, I think that's a red flag unto itself. I think becoming extremely popular to the level of, let's say, Jordan Peterson is a red flag unto itself. That's my opinion. I did a video about this not too long ago, but I said I don't trust anyone. They're all evil. I think they're all evil. That's what.
And I apologize, Ted. I have not had the chance to watch all of your videos.
It's okay. I'm not asking you. I'm not trying to push you to watch it, but I did a video about that. I mean, I do a lot of videos, but I did a video about this, and I said I don't trust any of them. They're all evil. And I gave a few examples of this. Milo was one of the examples. I said everybody was worshiping this guy. Milo. Everybody was worshiping him. And I was telling people, this guy's evil. Well, how do you know that? He's Skittles. That's it. That's all I need to know. The guy is Skittles. That is it. Turns out, oh, Milo actually was pushing for pederasty. Oh, I was right. Yeah, the guy is evil. There you go. Done. Well, how did you know he was evil? Skittles. That's all I need to know. Guy's Skittles. That's it. And then you have Dennis Prager. Dennis Prager said this one thing on the Dave Rubin show about little boys, and I said, this guy is evil. That's it. He is demonic. I want nothing to do with him. He's satanic. Oh, and all the people defending him, they're all evil. And so what you have, and this is what I keep trying to tell people, is yeah, the whole pro-Israel thing is done. I mean, it's on its last leg right now. It's done. And you have a few voices left in the pro-Israel movement. Okay, Ben Shapiro is using whatever clout he still has. You have what's his name, Mark Levine. You got Coleman Hughes. Okay, you got some of these guys that are left, but the pro-Israel movement is a shadow of its former self. So what's going to replace it? Okay, so what's his name? Charlie Kirk was the last. He was the last pro-Israel conservative superstar. That's what he was. He was the last pro-Israel conservative superstar. Once he's gone, so now you have there was already a new tide of conservative media that was rising up before Charlie was killed. We know this. We had Tucker, Candace, you know the gang. They were already rising up. They were already taking over. Once Charlie was killed, there was no one left in that world. In that Prager, pro-Israel, intellectual world, there was no one left. It was done. So the Tuckerite faction, Candace Owens faction, whatever you want to call it, just swept in. They took over, pretty much. They've taken over now. They're dominating now. So the pro-Israel movement is dying out, and what's going to take over? What's going to take over is right-wing nationalism stuff. That's what's going to take. That's the future of politics, is right-wing nationalism. That is the future. And so, is it going to be good? The answer is no. It's not going to be good. Why is it not going to be good? Because when something becomes extremely famous, extremely popular, in my experience, there's something wrong. That's my experience.
One example, and I remember watching this. I forgot the name of the guy's show you're on, but you guys talked about this. Best time to bring him up. Matt Fuentes. Could that potentially be the future of
Fuentes and who else?
Nick Fuentes.
Oh, Nick Fuentes. Well, I think you see,
because people are getting behind that guy.
Yeah, they're getting behind him. But the thing about Fuentes is that I don't think he is really a sincere person. I mean, that's my belief about him. But yeah, I think Fuentes' popularity is most definitely a sign of what is to come. But do I think that Fuentes is always going to be around? I don't think so. I think eventually people are going to be disappointed by him for whatever reason. But yeah, I think that him getting pushed into the limelight, getting pushed into the mainstream, is a sign of what is to come. And that is this popularity for nationalism. I mean, right now we're seeing the death of the post-World War II order. We're seeing America gradually shifting away from its pro-Israel policy, with America working more towards the interest of Turkey and allowing for Turkey to advance its interests regardless of the fact that these interests go against Israel's interest. So we're seeing this paradigm shift taking place when it comes to America's foreign policy with Israel. So that's happening. And so America knows it. The powers that be know it. And America is just saying, okay, Israel is no longer really popular. So when we pull the plug on Israel, no one's going to care. And another thing to keep in mind is you have two forces here. You have the Zionist force, but then you have the kind of the European nationalism force that's rising up. You have two different forces. And there's a biblical component to all of this that I can get into if you would like, but there's two forces that are clashing: pro-Israel or pro-nationalism, or pro-European nationalism, right? Jewish nationalism versus European nationalism. And right now they're colliding. Tucker Carlson is more so in that American slash European nationalism camp. Tucker Carlson will support far right European nationalism. I have no doubt about that. And Tucker Carlson, in my opinion, I have a suspicion that Tucker Carlson is basically part of that CIA apparatus. I think his father was CIA, and I think he's a part of that NATO CIA apparatus. And he represents, I think, what America is pursuing. And what America is pursuing is a global nationalism, wherein these Western countries, like America, like Germany, will become nationalistic and militaristic. That's what America wants right now. America wants for, and I've talked about this many times, but America wants for countries like Germany to rise up, countries like Turkey to rise up. And they want for Germany to revive its power, and they want for Germany to take over Europe. And that requires nationalism. That requires German militaristic nationalism. We're talking old school. What's that?
Basically another Reich.
Yeah, another Reich, exactly. So Tucker Carlson comes along and he says, "Well, what's wrong with nationalism? What's wrong with German nationalism? What's wrong with these nationalistic movements?" And he's very popular. And one of the reasons why he's popular is because he supports European nationalism. And so I think that Tucker Carlson being very popular is a sign that what he is saying represents the current American policy. And I think that's reflected in the fact that if you look at the Trump administration's recent foreign policy paper, it says that America's interest right now, it says this quite explicitly, that America's interest right now is to work with countries that want to revive their former glory. And it was speaking specifically about Germany. So the policy of America is to revive European nationalism, specifically German nationalism. Tucker Carlson is in that boat. This is one of the things that he wants. So Tucker Carlson being pushed into the limelight. I'll just finish this one last thing, but Tucker Carlson being pushed into the limelight and becoming very famous, and the pro-Israel voices like Shapiro, Hammer, Levine being pushed to obscurity is a sign of this shift that is taking place, wherein we're going from being pro-Israel to being pro-European nationalism, pro-American nationalism.
Well, I was just going to say, when he asks that question, Tucker, that is, when he asks the question, well, what's wrong with nationalism? There's a lot wrong with nationalism because there's a big difference between, I remember kind of getting this from you back in the day of like where to go look. There's a difference between nationalism and patriotism. Patriotism is the love for your country. Mm-hmm. Nationalism is what's best for country. And let's just put it this way. What's best for country, or what you think is best for country, is not good for the country. Mm-hmm. So let's just give a hypothetical here. If I don't know, what to use? So if we're to say that, if let's say the government was to, which obviously is what they're trying to do, let's say that all firearms were made illegal. Is that good for country?
No.
I don't think that's good for country.
Mm-hmm.
So it's stuff like that. And there's a million examples you could use for that.
Sure.
Is lowering the marriage age to, I don't know, 12. Is that good for country? Mm-hmm. I mean, if somebody thinks it up, is it automatically good for country? I don't think so. Mm-hmm. So that right there is what's wrong with nationalism.
Right. So the problem with nationalism is that it basically says, I don't care what evils my country does, I'm going to worship my country.
Exactly.
This is a distinct from patriotism, which says, okay, what's good for my country, like you said. So that's the problem. And Tucker Carlson will be in that boat of big American voices supporting the revival of German nationalism. And what we see now is the disintegration of the Zionist establishment. and the uplifting or the boosting up of 20th century style nationalism, wherein it's America first, or it's Deutschland über alles, Deutschland over everyone, and that's the future. It's Turkey over everyone. America is supporting Turkish nationalism, German nationalism, and that's why, for example, you'll see these stories of the AfD party, or Alternative for Deutschland party, which is the biggest nationalist party in Germany and currently is the second biggest party in the German government. But that's why you'll read these stories about AfD officials going to Washington and hanging out with the Republican Party. Well, why is the Republican Party hanging out with these AfD guys? And why is the Trump administration openly supporting the AfD? And why is J.D. Vance, the vice president, openly supporting the AfD? And then you look more into this stuff and you find out, well, back during the Cold War, NATO was all about literally arming and training and backing neo-Nazi paramilitary organizations in Europe because NATO wanted nationalism to be revived in Europe so that NATO could use that nationalism against the Russians. So this has been and this is, if you want to research more about this, look up Gladio. I mean, that's the name of that's the name of the policy, the Gladio project or Operation Gladio.
I do remember you mentioning that.
Yeah. So that's the policy. That is the interest. And Tucker Carlson reflects that interest. So that is what's being pushed. And Josh Hammer and Mark Levine and Ben Shapiro, they're coming out and they're saying, hey, it looks like, maybe some kind of Nazistic stuff is coming back. And people are saying, oh, shut up, Zio. And the thing is that as much as I don't like Shapiro and as much as I don't like these other guys, when they warn about this sort of thing, they're right. Now, it's a fact that they're supporting Jewish Nazism or Judeo-Nazism. They're definitely supporting it. That's a fact. So
yeah,
they're hypocrites. But when they say that specifically, I mean, they are correct. That there is this sort of Hitlerism that is coming back from the dead. And it's only going to get stronger.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that because in my own personal life, I've kind of experienced some of that from some people that I know. Like, I'm not going to say who they are, but just this evil way of thinking and this Nazistic way of thinking. Like, I brought up Fuentes earlier moments ago because a good friend of mine who I've known for years, not going to say who, of course, he probably doesn't even watch the show, but he was telling me things not too long ago, just a matter of months ago, about how because like he mentioned Fuentes in conversation, and he was talking about how Fuentes is saying this and that and so on, like talking about how the Holocaust really wasn't as bad as they made it out to be. And I'm thinking like, okay, well, it doesn't matter if it's 100,000 or 6 million. Too many is too many. That's still too many. Even if it was 500, it's too many.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when there was actually a couple of them saying this, like saying that Hitler was right and this, that, and whatever. And listen, I get the whole Zionism thing. I get the Jewish lobby thing. But there are Jews out there who are just regular people. They're not looking to kill people and control people. And it's like, come on, man, what are you talking about? And then he was saying things about like, well, like in regards to black people, like we never should have gone to school with them and this and that. They make people dumber, and in regards to like test scores and all that. And I'm like, come on, dude. It's like, are you really saying this right now?
Yeah.
So the reason I bring that up, and if he sees this, he's probably going to hate me for it, but I don't care. This is just it's stuff that I'm seeing. This is, I mean, the stuff that I never thought I'd hear anybody say like to me. You think that this stuff that I heard, you would think like, oh no, that's not being said here. That's being said like, I don't know, in New York or California or wherever. You don't expect to hear it in your neck of the woods. So
that goes to show you it's becoming It's going from the internet to the real. It's translating from the internet world to the real world.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, in your front door in your own neighborhood. I've seen it
Yeah.
myself in my own personal circles. I've seen it myself. I know a guy who I've known for decades, and he is now. I mean, he was raised to be a Zionist. He was a John Hagee fan for years. He's a little bit. He's a Gen Xer. I guess you could say older millennial, bordering on Gen Xer. And I mean, last time I spoke to him, I was amazed. I was like, he hates John Hagee. He hates Zionism. He is reading on the Israel lobby. And he's telling me about how he's a Fuentes fan. I was like, damn, what a change. And so I mean, I've seen it happen to a number of people in my own personal life. So I know exactly what you mean. Um, yeah, the whole Zionism thing is just gonna, it's about to just tatter or totter, and it's going to get fully replaced by nationalism. What America wants to do is a global nationalism. Turkish nationalism, American nationalism, German nationalism, French nationalism, Scandinavian, whatever, Swedish, whatever. That's what America wants. And they want to create a Turkish power to rule over the Middle East and the Islamic world. They want to create a German power to rule over Europe. And America thinks, okay, we can control these powers and we can use them for our own ends. We can use them to go against Russia, China. We can use them to go against our rivals, etc. That's what America is thinking. And it's going to be a project that's going to spiral downwards into an ocean of blood, I'm afraid, just like it did in the past. So,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So this is the future. So people think, oh, look, Zionism is going down. This is great. Yeah, it is great, but what's replacing it? What's replacing it is, frankly, some form of some repackaged Hitlerian ideology.
Yeah, it's not gonna get any better.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's basically the issues are just changing, really just changing addresses,
Yeah,
if you will, for
we're
lack of.
going from Judeo-Nazism to basically old school Nazism, where we have people revering Adolf Hitler. I mean, that's the problem, and I don't know. I think it's only going to get worse. I don't see this going away anytime soon. And now you have Germany talking about making nuclear weapons. I mean, we're going to have a nuclear armed Germany that is militaristic and ultra nationalistic at the same time. That's what we're heading towards. I mean, right now, nationalism is very popular in Germany, and the AfD is the second largest party in all of the German government, and it's also, if the statistics are correct, it's the most popular party right now. And this is a party that's ran by a guy named Bjorn Holke who used to write articles praising the Third Reich. So it looks pretty. The future is pretty weird, is what I would say.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like, yeah. If this is led by a guy who used to write articles praising the Third Reich,
Mm-hmm.
I mean that's just like that's like all these people here who really got into the craze of praising Ukraine,
Oh yeah.
but yet they this happened. We know that President Zelensky gives a Medal of Honor equivalent award to a guy who was a Nazi war criminal.
Right. Yep. I remember
But
that.
you tell them that, you tell these people that who praise Ukraine because it's big bad evil Russia who's responsible
Mm-hmm.
for everything that bad that's going on, but they don't care about that. They don't care about the fact that Ukraine's president basically gave praise to a Nazi war criminal from
Yeah.
World War II.
Zelensky gave basically the equivalent of the Medal of Honor in Ukraine to an old Ukrainian Nazi who wiped out a Polish village.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's massacred an entire village, and he gets an award for Zelensky, and he's called a hero. And again, and I'm glad you brought up Ukraine because you see, Ukraine is ground zero for this Nazi revival that we've been seeing. It really is. It's ground zero. Because what happened in the Euromaidan of 2014? Okay, they said, oh, this government that was sort of aligned with Russia got overthrown, blah, 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 and Mr. Yanukovych was overthrown, and, Poroshenko took power, and Poroshenko is this great guy. Poroshenko himself was a Nazi. Poroshenko himself was someone who sympathized with the old Ukrainian Nazi collaborators like Bandera and Shukovich, etc. And all of a sudden, you saw in Ukraine Nazis in positions of parliament, Nazis in prominent positions in the government, and the Euromaidan revolution that overthrew the government of Yanukovych was being backed by NATO, and the commandant of the Euromaidan was a guy named Andrei Parubi. Andrei Parubi is a neo-Nazi, an actual neo-Nazi. So you had a Nazi uprising in Ukraine that was backed by America and backed by NATO. People say, oh, Ted, America's not supporting Nazis. That's not happening. It literally happened in Ukraine, where Nazis overran the government. And these Nazis rose up. This Nazi paramilitary organization rose up called Azov, and they have other names like Right Sector or Svoboda, but they're all really pretty much the same thing. C-14, they're all the same thing. And these Azov guys are one of the most, if not the most, elite fighting unit in the Ukrainian military. The Russian soldiers, I hear, fear them because they're supposedly very efficient. And the Azov battalion made a statement not too long after the Euromaidan. You had Andrei Belitsky, the leader of the Azov battalion at the time, and he said that Ukraine is going to be the center for the revival of European nationalism. This is what he said, that Ukraine will be this starting point where this European Renaissance would begin. And by European Renaissance, he meant Nazi revival.
It's crazy. Do people not pay attention
in Ukraine? Yeah, most people don't pay attention to this, but this began in Ukraine. And it began in Ukraine, and America was backing it. And you had John McCain going to Ukraine, hanging out with Andrei Belitsky, this neo-Nazi guy who says that Ukraine is going to be the starting point, the origin point for this revived Nazism in Europe. And John McCain is with Andrei Belitsky, and he's saying, I'm with you. And you had Lindsey Graham going to Ukraine saying, our fight is your fight, and he was backing the Nazis, supporting the Nazis of Ukraine. And America and Canada and the UK, they were all training the Nazis, arming them, the whole thing. And now you have Nazis in prominent positions in the military, and the Nazi power in Ukraine is so big and it's so well armed that the Ukrainian politicians are terrified of them. And an actual story, an actual example of this is when Poroshenko, when he was the leader of Ukraine, was trying to get the Azov battalion, I think, to integrate into the military or something like that. He was trying to get the Azov battalion to calm down. And Andrei Belitsky sends 10,000 armed neo-Nazis to the front of the Ukrainian parliament building in Kiev. And he basically tells Poroshenko, we can kill you if we would like. And Poroshenko backed off. So people say, oh, but the Nazis, they don't win elections. They don't have to win elections. There is a Nazi leader in Ukraine. His name is, I think his name is Yevhen Karas. And Yevhen Karas gave a, let me just make sure I got the name correct. Hold on. Yeah, Yevhen Karas, I was correct. Yevhen Karas. Yevhen Karas says, basically, we don't need to take office to have power in Ukraine. He says, we already have the power because we have the guns. And that's all we need. This is what Yevhen Karas says. That's all we need. And he's right. Why?
It's not just office where you can have power.
No, ultimately, what backs political power is the end of a gun. What backs laws? What backs anything? What backs anything that you want to enforce? Guns. Violence. Violence is the foundation for all law. Well, morality is ultimately, but the imposing of law, the imposing of any rule set, is founded upon violence. It's founded upon the idea that if you don't do this, I can kill you or punish you in some other way. That is power. And Yevhen Karas comes along and he says, we don't really need to run for office because we already have the power. We have the guns. We have the military experience. When the pro-Russian separatists in Donbass took over government buildings in eastern Ukraine after the Euromaidan, who defeated the Russian separatists or the pro-Russian separatists? It wasn't the Ukrainian military. It was the Azov battalion. It was the neo-Nazi paramilitary fighters who fought and defeated the pro-Russian separatists in eastern Ukraine. So those people have power. They have real power. And they're very influential. And the thing is that even though the Euromaidan was backed by a bunch of Nazis, and the muscle of the revolution was the armed Nazis, not the unarmed protesters. And the fact that America backed this Nazi uprising, that Germany backed it, that Britain backed it, the fact that the German government, you can look into this, and Scott Horton shows this in his book, Provoked, the fact that the European Union gave millions of dollars to a neo-Nazi organization in Ukraine whose whole mission it is to try to get Ukrainians to revere Nazi collaborators like Stepan Bandera. All of these facts show one thing, and that is NATO, the European Union, America, does not mind reviving Nazism. Yevhen Karas, the neo-Nazi leader in Ukraine, who I told you said that the Nazis don't really need political power because they have guns. Yevhen Karas last year went to the United Kingdom. This should have been a bigger story. I mean, I'm surprised that it didn't really get a lot of attention. But Yevhen Karas was in the United Kingdom, and he did a speech for Chatham House. Chatham House is this big think tank organization in the UK. It's backed by the UK government. It's basically some British intelligence front group, but they're supposed to be this prestigious think tank organization in the United Kingdom. And Yevhen Karas goes to the United Kingdom and he speaks for Chatham House. Why would Chatham House, which is supposed to be this prestigious British government think tank organization, bring a neo-Nazi thug to speak for its organization?
That's highly suspect,
Yeah.
and that's putting it lightly.
Yeah. If there is no NATO interest in reviving Nazism, this is like when Ronald Reagan brought the Islamic Mujahideen from Afghanistan to the White House. Why did Reagan meet up with the Mujahideen? Because America was backing them. Why did the United States government meet up with Syrian rebels, jihadist rebels? Because America was backing them. Simple as that. So why is Chatham House in the United Kingdom working with Yevhen Karas? Same reason why John McCain was hanging out with Andrei Belitsky in Ukraine, because this is what NATO is backing, Nazism.
Yeah, there's obviously some kind of support there.
Yeah. So this is what America wants. And so we see the pro-Israel stuff is going down. We think, oh, this is great. Yeah, it is great. Don't get me wrong. I don't like Israel. I think Israel is evil. It's Judeo-Nazi, whatever. But what's replacing it? What's replacing it is ultranationalism. And the problem is that we're living in this post-Christian era wherein Christianity doesn't really have much influence over people. So people don't really have this awareness. They think, oh, this is great. Oh, this is nationalists in Germany. Oh, this is amazing. Well, what happened to all that history that we were taught? What happened to all of the Hitler documentaries that we saw growing up watching the History Channel? All that stuff is for nothing. Sadly enough, yeah. People don't really care about history.
That's a big problem. I mean, it's like I said earlier, if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the path we're on, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess history is just too inconvenient for some people.
Yeah.
And what I've noticed is, and I don't know if this equates to what we were just talking about, but yeah, in my opinion, you have too many people that they really care more about quote unquote being a part of something.
Mm-hmm.
They want to feel like they're with it. They're with the next biggest thing, and you try to tell them like, this is not so good. This is
Right.
You're not a rebel. You're not a rebel. You're making a mistake here.
You're not
You're
a
not
rebel. Yeah.
you're not fighting for a good cause.
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, all the stuff going on with ICE and these people trying to kill police officers from the BLM movement and stuff. You're not a part. Well, you are a part of history, but for all the wrong reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I've noticed with people is they care more about being part of a clique
Mm-hmm.
and thinking that they're a part of something important when they're really not. They just want to be a part of something,
Right.
or at least feel like they are.
Well, they have a belief, right? They're angry about something. They're angry about the left or the Democrats. So they're looking for people to follow. They're looking for someone to get information from. In comes the podcasters.
Yeah.
And sadly enough, the evil ones are the ones who become famous. Why that is? The devil is the king of this world, I guess. He's the ruler of, or the lord of this world, as the Bible says. So the ones
Oh,
who become super famous are the evil ones.
well, you were definitely right on that about that kind of influence. And I'm not necessarily saying he's evil. I'm not putting him in that same equation. But how many times have I heard, and you probably said it, or you probably heard it too. How many times have I heard someone say, "Oh, well, Joe Rogan said this," or "Joe
Oh
Rogan,"
yeah. Oh yeah, I've
like,
seen that before. I've heard that before, yeah.
but not just him. He's just the prime example because he's probably the biggest one out there right
Mm-hmm.
now. But I no, again, I'm not specifying any names or who they are to me,
Mm-hmm.
but I had someone else very close to me say that, oh, well, I heard on a podcast someone said that cocaine can't actually kill you
Mm-hmm.
unless it's laced with something.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the cocaine is the lace.
Yeah.
I'm like, how could? And I said to this person, how could you even think that?
Mm-hmm.
How could you think that cocaine can't kill you?
I don't know. I've never
It's
tried
unbelievable.
cocaine.
But it's just I haven't either. But it doesn't take a genius to figure out that it can kill you.
Oh sure, yeah. It can give you a heart attack or something.
Yeah, but I've heard it so many times. I heard somebody on this podcaster say or that podcaster say, I'm like, are these guys full of infinite knowledge? No, I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Joe Rogan might know plenty of things, but he doesn't know everything.
Yeah, I don't really like him. I've never liked Joe Rogan. I've always seen
Well,
him as some sort of a psyop. Go ahead.
no, I'm just going to add on to your point. The funny thing is, I'm not a big fan of his either.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, has he had some guests on where it's been intriguing listens?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I'm not going to deny that. But the funniest thing is when remember when he was busted for when someone went back 7 or 8 years and heard him say the N-word on one of his shows, and he got a lot of flack for that. I think he had some funding pulled or whatever. Well, everybody was so ready to defend him, and the funny, well, no, I'm not talking about that. I mean, so okay, he said the N-word years ago, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm getting at is so many people, like so many conservatives, Republicans, they thought he was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not. This guy is as left wing gets.
Mm-hmm. Rogan, you're talking about Rogan?
Yes, Joe Rogan.
Yeah, Rogan. I mean, the guy is just a liberal. I mean, I think now he's saying more Christian stuff. But the fact is, like, I heard Joe Rogan saying something recently about how, well, maybe Jesus Christ is going to return as an AI projection. And I saw that. I said, this guy's evil.
Yeah.
Well, he's a Christian now. He's not. You see, this is the problem with American conservatives, is that they're always looking for someone famous. Always. Well, the only famous person that I really admire is Mel Gibson. I admire that dude. I do. I admire. Braveheart's the greatest film ever made. I Will Die on This Hill. It's the greatest movie ever made. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, I like it.
But you know, people say, "Oh well, he's on our side." Christians are always looking for a celebrity who's going to be on their side. They're kind of not. They're not kind of. They are. They're sycophantic in this way. I remember when Tim Tebow was very famous, and they
Yeah.
were saying, "Oh, Tim Tebow, he's our guy," and nobody talks about Tim Tebow anymore. Oh, I remember when you had all these celebrity pastors back in the day, Louis Giglio and Matt Chandler, and you had what's his name, Mark Driscoll, and all these other guys. Like, oh, they're famous, superstars. They're always looking for someone famous. Bill Maher says some things that Bill Maher will say a few things that conservatives agree with. Oh, look, Bill Maher, he's starting to see the light. No, he just hates Muslims. And the reason why he hates Muslims is because he hates religion. Doesn't matter if it's Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Mormonism, Jehovah's Witnesses. The guy hates religion. And him going against Muslims is just his way of expressing his anti-theism. That's all it is. The guy is a Jewish atheist. He's of the same spirit as Sam Harris and Vladimir Lenin and Lazar Kaganovich and the rest of the socialists, the Jewish atheists who killed Christians back in the day. But people say, oh, look, he said some things about Muslims. Okay, and so this is what I hate about American conservatives. I see this all the time. Oh, well, Bill Maher said this about Muslims. Who gives a shit? You can hate on Islam and be absolutely diabolical, just like you can hate on Judaism and be absolutely diabolical.
Yeah.
But these American Christians have, in this case, I mean, maybe they're better now. I don't know, but it just seems like they don't have enough discernment, no matter what. It doesn't matter how many times you tell them, "Hey, be careful." They don't care. So they see Joe Rogan, and he's the most famous podcaster on earth. And they see, oh, Joe Rogan is now kind of becoming a Christian. Oh, he's on our side now.
No, not really.
And then he's talking about AI Jesus. It's just a red flag, massive, very bright red flag.
Oh, you want to hear something just as ridiculous as that? A friend of mine, we were talking once about, the second coming and all that. And listen, as much as I love him to death, he's got some warped views on things, and I hate saying that, but it's just the truth. He believes the whole he basically believes the whole Bible code stuff. Mm-hmm. That Jesus and Mary Magdalene had a child. He believes all that stuff.
A Mormon. That's what Mormons believe.
Well, I think he's not a Mormon. Mm-hmm. He's not a Mormon. He's actually from overseas, but no, he believes all of that Jesus had a child with Mary Magdalene. But anyway, as far as the second coming goes, we were having a talk about that one time. And he said that when the second coming happens, it's not going to be Christ himself. It's going to be a relative of his.
I don't know where people get these ideas from.
I don't know. But he also told me once that the stone tablets, he said they're not they're not in the ark. They're actually in a museum somewhere, and they're really, really small.
Mm-hmm. That sounds, I don't know. Doesn't sound like
it's diabolical. It's diabolical stuff. And I asked him, dude, I get that we have different upbringings, but where do you get these ideas? Like what podcasts or who are you listening to? Mm-hmm. And he never really specified, but he just claims he thinks for himself. And I'm like, I don't know if you do.
Thinker.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a free thinker.
No, because it's influenced by something. Mm-hmm. All of us. And you're right. That applies to all of us. We all have something, everything that we believe, mm-hmm. It's based off of something.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get things from authorities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a free thinker. That's a myth that people believe. Like, oh, I'm a free thinker. No, you're learning something from someone who's an authority or someone who you think is an authority.
Yeah, you're just taking the next step.
Yeah.
That's all you're doing.
It's like social media. Well, it's alternative media. Well, what was once considered alternative media is really now mainstream media.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
yeah.
now I was going to say my beliefs. I'm a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
My beliefs come from God,
Mm-hmm.
from Christ,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm certainly not perfect, but that's where my belief system comes from.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, if you're a free thinker, then like you said, you're not really you're not free. Just say where your beliefs are coming from.
Right.
Be honest.
Yeah. You can't just make up things. You learn things from authorities. There's no such thing as a free think. Whatever. I don't know.
No, I get what you're saying, but it's just, yeah, with Rogan, bull crap. He's a Christian, because no Christian in their right mind, no. Well, then again, we were talking about this earlier. Depending on what denomination it is, like Episcopalian or Unitarian, or really these fake Christian denominations. Who says that? AI Jesus.
Well,
are you?
He's a transhumanist. Joe Rogan is a transhumanist type of a person.
All right, I knew that. Yes.
Yeah. So being a transhumanist, he's going to apply his transhumanist beliefs to Christianity, just like Peter Thiel does. Peter Thiel is the same way.
And he's also a member of Sodom.
He's a member of Sodom, and he is also a German eugenist who believes in transhumanism, and he mixes his transhumanism with his weird Protestant evangelicalism. So he has these very sick beliefs, and Joe Rogan is part of that Peter Thiel sort of Silicon Valley world. And he brought in a guy on his show. I forgot his name, but he brought this Jewish eugenist on. And this Jewish eugenist was talking about how we could make better humans with genetic engineering, and we can engineer people to be smarter and more intelligent. And Joe Rogan had this guy on his show, and this guy was spouting this social Darwinism and this eugenic stuff. It's amazing. I remember when I was in high school, I wrote a book called In Satan's Footsteps.
I've been meaning to order that, actually.
Yeah. It's a decent book. I can probably just send you the PDF form for it. You can just read it. But it's an old book. I wrote it when I was in high school. I wrote it when I was 14, 15. That's when I wrote it. And a big chunk of that book, probably the majority of that book, is me talking about eugenics. And when I was in high school, I remember writing that book and researching for that book and reading a lot about the history of eugenics and how it goes back to Darwin and Francis Galton, et cetera, et cetera. And I was reading about how these eugenists back in the 19th century and 20th century were talking about how they could socially or how they could genetically engineer new people and how they could breed people to be more intelligent and more athletic. And I thought, wow, this is pretty diabolical, and I wrote a lot about it. But then, at the same time, I did not expect to see eugenics getting pushed right back into the mainstream, to the point where you can watch Joe Rogan, and you can hear someone on the Joe Rogan show saying the same sort of stuff that they were saying back in the 1900s, late 1800s. And people thought, well, those old ideas, those old eugenist ideas of the 20th century are gone and they're outdated and no one really believes them anymore. But I'm afraid they're coming back. And Joe Rogan really has been at the forefront of reviving this evil. And
I can tell you when I heard him say something once before on an episode. Have you heard of the? I'm sure you followed the news, but do you know that swimmer, that Riley Gaines, who was with that trans freak, that Thomas? Well, I was watching the episode when he had her on, And there was a moment, which is pretty good. She was telling her story and no problem. But then he gets to a point where he's talking about, and he always does it like when he's talking, he's looking up in the air like this. And it's one of those moments. He's like, he said, I can't remember word for word, but he was like, you know what's crazy, Riley, is if we ever get to a point in the future one day where, you could make a machine, a guy walks in, press a button, and out walks a woman. And I don't know, like there's something with that. I know everybody has their little ticks, but I noticed it with Rogan when he looks up in the air. Even something as small as that is like a red flag for me, because it tells me it's like he's almost like making up stuff as he goes.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really understand why people like him so much. I just don't. I mean, I think it's because one of the reasons why. Listen, I remember watching Joe Rogan before his podcast got world famous.
Yeah, he was on. He was on. So there was a show on Comedy Central back in the day called The Man Show.
Yep.
That's where Jimmy Kimmel and Adam Carolla started, and then eventually Rogan and some other guy took over. He was on there, and then he starts getting into comedy, and I think he had a few roles in some movies and shows and whatnot. But then, yeah, he eventually got on with UFC and doing the announcing, and now everybody knows who he is.
Well, the thing is that I remember watching his podcast before it became super famous. I was watching his podcast back in 2009, 2010. And he was talking about LSD, and his camera work wasn't the best, and it was kind of pixely. But then all of a sudden he got the good microphones, and he got the good cameras, and he got the good-looking studio, and his podcast just blew up. But again, I mean, like he had this. Rogan kind of had this original idea of making a podcast set up the way that he has it set up. But other than that, I just don't see what the appeal is. Why is he so famous? I don't know. I think the whole thing's a psyop, and I think Joe Rogan is being used as a mouthpiece for the elites to promote eugenics. Because, like I said, the agenda is the promotion of militarism and nationalism. And remember what the Trump administration's foreign policy document says. It says, we want to work with countries that wish to go back to their former glory. And it was speaking in light of the German military. Well, when was the last time Germany had glory as an empire? It was the Third Reich. Not glory in a good sense, but it was in the sense that it had an empire. And
well, you beat me to the punch.
Well, what did Nazi Germany have? It had eugenics. So the elites want to bring back eugenics, militarism, nationalism. That's the future. That's what they want to bring back. Is it going to succeed completely? Probably not. I think people obviously will rebel. People obviously will fight back against this. But I think there is going to be a comeback for these things.
It's going to have a presence, put it that way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
My cat keeps wanting to come in and out.
I understand. Kitty cats are that way.
Yeah. We just not getting off track here, but it's been a long ass 2 weeks because one of my cats, his name's Garfield. I don't think he's in here right now. But yeah, he had to have emergency blockage surgery.
The cat did?
Because male orange cats, they're susceptible to getting blocked. And, well, this time they couldn't get the catheter in. And he had to have emergency
when you say
surgery.
Blocked, what do you mean?
Blocked urine, can't go.
Oh, the urine. I have 2 orange cats, so it's good to know.
Okay, yeah, orange male cats are kind of prone to it because we lost one a little over a year ago. He was also orange. And
how old was he when he started having these issues?
6.
Okay, and
he's gonna be 8 now.
What are the symptoms?
Lethargy, moving around, acting weird, sometimes blood in the urine, yowling while they're trying to go. So things like that.
That's good.
But he was laying under the bed 3 weeks ago yesterday. He was just laying under the bed. It looked like breathing, but he was looked like he was dying. So 3:30 in the morning, rushed him to the vet, and he had the surgery, and he's doing much better now. But basically what they did was they widened his urethra so he can go easier, and so he's been doing pretty well. But But yeah, so anyway, I digress.
It's fine.
We go from Nazism to
To
cats.
cats, yeah. What's the symptoms for a cat having urine blockage?
Yeah, I, but I'm just saying it had been a long,
Mm-hmm.
long 2 weeks. So, but yeah, no, I agree. It's if it's not complete Third Reich all over again, it's going to have its presence. I mean,
Yeah,
it has its presence now.
yeah, yeah. And I think a massive, I think a massive sign of this was when you had the Berlin Security Conference recently, and Mr. Whitaker, who is America's representative in NATO, said that our goal, our vision, this is America's representative in NATO. Speaking at the Berlin Security Conference, he said, our vision is to make sure or is to see Germany dominate Europe. Now, he didn't say dominate, but he said to see Germany become the leading power in Europe.
That's telling enough as it
Yeah.
is.
That's their goal. I mean, they're saying it out in the open, and nobody cares because if you tell an American conservative, "Hey, there's something wrong with this," they'll say, "Well, yeah, what's wrong with that? That's amazing. Countries have a right to have powerful militaries." It's like, yeah, okay, but look at the history. But that's the problem. They don't want to look at the history.
No,
You see?
no. There's let's face it. There's an agenda they have, or they have. There's views that they have that they're obviously not going to tell us.
Yeah, Matthew Whitaker, that's his name. Yeah, he said our goal, our vision is to see Germany become the most powerful military in all of Europe. And not only that, he went further than that. He said we want to see Europe become just as militarily powerful as the United States. Well, how do you have that without a massive German Reich? The answer is
You
you
do.
don't. So they're going to want to make a massive German Reich. On top of that, you're going to have German nationalism. On top of that, you're going to have eugenics. I mean, it's just they want to bring back the old Frankenstein that they buried. That's what they want to bring back.
Well, I'll tell you this much. You have people saying this country right now is nothing but Nazi this, Nazi that. They have no clue what Nazism is.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Oh, fascist. This guy's a fascist. Fascist.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus, if you think Donald Trump's a fascist,
Yeah.
which I have a guy at work who says this every damn day. Um, you don't know what Nazism is. You don't know what fascism is. Go ask the people who lived in Russia, Italy, and Germany in the 30s and get back
Yeah.
to me. But it
Exactly.
just amazes me how people can be so damn stupid. If it's by choice, by birth, I don't know.
I don't know.
But all I know is what you're just saying right there. Just the emphasis on Germany is all that any sane person needs to hear.
Right.
And red flag.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a massive red flag, and it's just you see it right in front of you. And every year it gets more and more obvious. Every year it gets more and more explicit. I keep hounding on this topic in my Friday live streams. Some people get sick of it, but I don't care.
And I wasn't able to tune in last night,
That's
unfortunately,
fine.
but hopefully
Whatever.
it was a good stream, and
It was. Yeah, last night we had a good stream.
that's good to hear. And yeah, I got to apologize to you for one thing, Ted. When you got flagged on the AC/DC track,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. That was me. I was responsible for it. I told you to play it.
Flagged.
I thought you got.
Yeah. Every time, that's why I stopped doing the music thing because people would ask me to play these. Like some people would ask me to play bands that are very obscure, so that there's no issue. There's no issue with copyright strikes and TOS and all that. But man, like anytime somebody asked me to play some mainstream song, and I did it,
Mhm.
I get hit with copyright strikes.
Yeah. Well, on our other show, I can't even make a highlight reel, like a season highlight reel from
Mm-hmm.
the previous season. I can't use the music that I want to use because of exactly that, copyright strikes, and it pisses you off afterwards too because to put together a highlight reel, and you could apply this to anything, sports, political clips, music, whatever, take your pick. when it's a true labor of love and you can't upload it because of the stupid music
I know.
thing.
I know. I
Oh,
think
it's
it's ridiculous.
frustrating. But yeah, no, two reasons for ACDC to, or for you to not like ACDC.
What's that? Well, the ACDC. The problem with ACDC is that all the songs sound exactly the same.
Oh, I know. I'm just giving you a hard
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
I'm giving you a hard time. But hey, as far as I'm concerned with music, we all have different tastes.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just like ACDC. I just happen to grow up on them. Uh, your big ones are what? Corn and Nickelback.
I like Nickel. When it comes to rock bands, I like Nickelback. I like Linkin Park. Um, I like a lot of. I like some more obscure bands, but as far as mainstream ones go, old mainstream ones, Nickelback, Linkin Park. I like Three Doors Down. What else? When I was growing up, I really got into techno. When I was growing up in California and in Texas, I got into ATV or ATC. I got into Andre Tenenberger, Tiesto, Armin van Buren. I got into Paul Van Dyke. I got into a lot of European electronic musicians and groups. But as far as rock, I've always been a Nickelback fan. It's going all the way back to when I was in junior high. Always been a Linkin Park fan, and got into Korn a little bit when I was in high school. I still listen to them from time to time. What else? Um, I can't remember all of the Three Doors Down. What else? Oh, Seether. I was a huge Seether fan when I was in high school. Huge Seether fan. They were a what do they call that genre? Post grunge band. Really big post grunge band from South Africa. They're
Okay.
not as famous as they used to be, but they were very famous back in the early 2000s, and they made some really famous songs. And I used to love listening to them when I was a junior in high school, and just been listening to them ever. I still listen to them. Evanescence. I loved listening to Evanescence when I was in high school. I still listen to her from time to time, but I was a big Evanescence fan and
Yeah.
loved her stuff. Still do. And so yeah, Evanescence. Yeah, I love all that stuff. So great bands. Right now, as far as music goes, I've been listening to a lot of anime songs. I know it's so weird because I've never been an anime fan. I've only seen one anime movie my whole life, and that was it was an anime movie called The Second Renaissance, which I do not recommend anyone to see because it's so violent and so disgusting. But I remember seeing The Second Renaissance when I was in junior high, and I thought to myself, I will never watch an anime movie ever again. And ever since then, I've never seen an anime film, and never been a big anime fan. I've always seen it as kind of weird, but some of the music that has come from the world of anime, my goodness, I mean, it's really good. Some of the
Yeah, it's not.
Japanese,
It's
yes,
something to do with maybe like the keyboard sounds or
yeah,
whatever. It's just there's something that it has a nice flow.
yeah.
Like I think I
I
know.
don't
I think
know.
I know what you're talking.
Yeah, I got into a number of Japanese anime songs. I don't remember their names, but I have a playlist full of them, and I have now. I said a few, but it's a lot more than a few. I have right now hours worth of anime music that I've compiled together. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Yeah, I have it right here. I have about 2 hours worth of anime music. I got Mukanjo. I got My Dearest for the Guilty Crown opening. I
The
got.
Pokemon.
Is that Pokemon?
I'm kidding.
Oh, I
I'm just
got
bullshitting.
Wind by Akeboshi, which is a masterpiece. I first heard this song. It's called Wind by this Japanese singer named Akeboshi. And they played this song Wind for I think like Naruto or some shit. I've never watched Naruto, but I heard this song earlier this year and I thought, where the fuck has this song been my whole life? This song is a masterpiece. It's such a great song. Can't stop listening
Well,
to it.
you can't always expect it to make its way over here to the states. I mean,
Yeah. Well,
you know,
it's such a masterpiece of a piece of music. And then so I got Mukanjo, I got Wind by Akeboshi, I got My Dearest, I got the Tokyo Ghoul opening. I got The Call of Silence, Spire. I mean, there's so many different ones. I got Fireworks by Daoko, Voices of the Chords, Call Your Name. I got Through My Blood, Sanctuary. And then recently, I got into Thai rock songs. And
Sounds.
there's this band from Thailand called Sweet Mullet. I've never heard of them until last month. I can't stop listening to them.
You definitely have a wide variety of music. I can tell you that much. Which I'm not saying that I don't. It's just,
I have a very diverse.
I'm like, I'm just hearing this right now. I'm like, how the hell do you find all this? It's
YouTube
crazy.
So I saw this video on Instagram of these Indonesian guys, or one Indonesian guy, cooking in a kitchen, and then he's singing as he's cooking. And he's got these ladies behind him, and they're playing the drums, and they're playing the bass and the guitar, and he's cooking on the wok while singing, and he's singing this song, and I thought, that song sounds wonderful. I love this. What is this? So I did my research and found out that this song is by this Thai band called Sweet Mullet. So I thought, I'm going to listen to these guys. So I found the song, found it on YouTube, can't stop listening to it, still listening to it. And I started listening to a bunch of their other songs, and I just can't stop listening to them. And they're a great band called Sweet Mullet. They're an amazing rock band from Thailand. They make very good music. And their style of music is very close to the style that you see in Japanese anime songs. So I think they follow that formula, yeah.
Hey, I'd be open to giving them a listen. You can't be that close-minded.
Yeah.
You know. But speaking of anime, not getting off music or anything, but the last anime movie that I saw that I thought was really good was this movie called Spirited Away.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
Japanese anime?
It's Japanese anime, yes, mm-hmm. But it's from a well-known studio, like Ginobili. How do you say Ginobili or Jehobile Studios? I forget what it's, but it came out in 2001, and it's actually pretty good. It's not like a disgusting type war anime like you're talking about, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
This is about this movie is about a little girl who, not to give it all away, but she gets trapped in the spirit world. You can tell me,
because I'm not going to see it, so go ahead and tell me.
Okay. Well, so this little girl and her family's moving, and of course it takes place in Japan. They get lost, and they stumble across this old, I guess it would be like an old theme park, but what it really is it's like a bathhouse that's part of the spirit world.
Mm-hmm.
And her parents find this restaurant. They start eating, they turn into pigs, and now the little girl's trapped in the spirit world, and she has this guide that's helping her named Haku.
Mm-hmm.
And so to stay in the spirit world, she has to get a job, work, and it's just like, one of those typical mystical adventures.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually pretty good.
So the pig, who becomes pigs?
Her parents.
And
because
go ahead.
Apparently in this world, if you don't have a job or whatever, you get turned into an animal.
And is there some kind of a conflict where like the pigs are going to get slaughtered, sort of thing?
It's mentioned, but they don't do it.
Okay, because that shit would depress the hell out of me if I had to see
No. There's nothing like that. There's nothing. There's no like murdering or anything like that. There's the evil witch who runs the bathhouse. She's sadistic, but not in like a violent.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the best way to describe it.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's evil, but she doesn't follow through on the evil. She doesn't say she's gonna, like, the worst she says is, if you don't do this, I'll turn you into a pig as well. Because see, this movie was aimed more for like children.
I see. I gotcha.
And And so yeah, this little girl becomes friends with her guide, that Haku guy who is this witch's apprentice. She becomes friends with the Boiler Man who looks like a spider.
I don't know.
And
It doesn't sound like something I'd watch. It just sounds depressing. I think anime movies are just I think they're very depressing.
yeah, well, it's not like I've watched a ton of them.
Right,
I really
I understand. I'm not judging you or anything.
No. You're right. You're right. They are.
Mm-hmm.
When you really sit back and watch, like the ones I've seen, like, man, that sucks.
Yeah.
But I will say this one does have a happy ending.
Oh, okay. That's good.
But yeah. So I mean, it's crazy where conversation's taking. We're talking about Nazis, cats, then anime music and anime movies. How does that happen?
I don't know. It's a flow of consciousness. But I think maybe this is a good time to conclude it, I would say.
Yeah. Well, there was one question I did want to ask you. And this is one that I wrote you about too. But I'll share it publicly. I don't think you'll care too much. Mm-hmm. But remember when I sent you that message about that one podcaster, that Beckett Cook, who says he's a former sodomite, left the world.
Oh yeah.
Well, you see, here's the reason why I was asking you that question.
Mm-hmm.
And I know what you told me. Like if somebody says something right, then it's right. I mean, that can come from anybody who's good or evil.
Mm-hmm.
But these people, this is something I really want your thoughts on. But this is where I couldn't really spill it out. I was trying to think of how to word it, but I couldn't. Mm-hmm. But I've discovered how to. These people who say that they're former Sodom, do you think there's any way that we could ever walk side by side with them and fight the fight? Or do you think they're all full of shit?
I don't trust any of them.
And that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Is because I saw one of this guy's episodes, and this was at the time when I wrote you.
Mm-hmm.
I saw one of this guy's episodes, and I'm like, man, I like what this guy's saying. He's really fighting against these people from what he used to belong to. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, this is where it got me wondering. Mm-hmm. He's saying all these things that you and I both know are true, and that's fine. Say something that's true. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, he's telling people, I belonged to this world once. I'm out of it now. But it's like you almost can't really trust him, because at the same time, he's saying all this, but he's not exactly going with women now.
I don't trust them.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't trust them.
That's the point that I'm trying to get at is, mm-hmm. You got these people who are doing all this, but you almost can't really trust them. Mm-hmm. It's like you want to get behind them and support them and back them and fight the fight with them, but you really can't.
No. Yeah, I agree.
Because it's like look at Milo. He really hasn't changed. He can say that he's Christian all he wants, but we know he's full of crap. Mm-hmm.
I agree.
And I think and I think this guy's full of crap too. Mm-hmm. I don't know it, but he's not really been in big time in the spotlight like Milo had. But I just think if you're going to show that you're out of that world, mm-hmm. show that you've actually changed. Show that you're actually, trying to go with women now. And mm-hmm. I don't know. I just wanted your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I don't trust him.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, I think you're right, Ted. I think this is definitely a good spot to call it quits for this evening. Mm-hmm. I appreciate you for coming on with me, especially after going. What do you go? Usually 6-7 hours every Friday.
Something, yeah. I went 6 hours last time.
And now you're going 3 more hours tonight.
Yep.
But listen, man, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. Like I said, you have been a big inspiration for me for a long time, and not just you, but your dad as well, and somebody else. So I don't know if you'd want me to mention his name or not.
My dad?
Want to be disrespectful.
It's fine.
No, your dad. No, your dad, and someone else who you used to be partners with.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you want me to mention his name or not.
You don't have to, no.
Okay. But all I'm saying is, you guys really influenced me
Mm-hmm.
a lot over the years to not be afraid to speak my mind, and I thank you for it.
I appreciate that.
I really thank you for it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so you keep doing your thing. You keep speaking the word on things, and well, I know the Charlie Kirk video got you a lot more subscribers, so don't you
Yeah.
get too big on me, okay?
Well, I'm here, so we're good.
All right. Well, on that note, everyone, this has been Sean Moriarty and Theodore Schubot for the first ever episode of the Open Tab podcast. So, with that said, the tab is now closed.
All right.
Everybody, have a wonderful evening.
All right. All right.
Thank you
All
again,
right.
Ted.
All right. God bless you, man. It was good. It was fun.
You too.
All right.
Keep us. Good. Thank you, my brother in Christ.
You too. God bless you. All right. All right. That was fun. We had a good time. That was a 3-hour live stream. So hope you guys enjoyed it. It was just me and him talking, jabbering, and it was fun. Thank you for coming on and watching and listening to us. And I will see you guys soon, God willing. All right. God bless you guys. Be well. And you guys just heard some